What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news right here over on our YouTube page, going live on YouTube along with our Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for certainly joining us here today, as you do every single weekend, guys, as we go ahead and break down all the hottest news in geek pop culture for you guys today and give you guys our thoughts. But just always remember, these are just simply our A-Plus opinions. At the end of the day, we want to know yours. So please let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs. And don't be shy. Feel free to go ahead and chime in and give your thoughts on any of the articles that we certainly talk about. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we'll go ahead and tackle your live viewer questions, ladies and gentlemen. So should be a fun day, should be a stacked day. And to go ahead and tackle all these articles with me today is not just Indy that certainly comes through, but we also got Stuart in the house today. What's going on, Stuart? The whole crew.
Stu.
Everybody is, in fact, back today. What's going on, fellas? Good to see everybody, man.
Good to be back. I definitely missed
Stuart. I'm missing where's your facial hair, man? You're looking like a baby boy over there.
I know, right? Yeah, no, I shaved for like the first time in a long time. I think honestly, this is the first time I've been clean shaved since COVID.
Since I'm not the pandemic, mistaken. That was your pandemic beard?
Since like the beginning of the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken.
Man,
nice. Well, it's summertime. You know, you got to get those rays shining on that face. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's trying to be like Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman shaved his beard off too.
Well, that's gotta look weird. Gotta look weird.
Very much so. But you look nice. I love the shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody. So, what you guys been up to this week? Get into anything much?
You said
working. I actually, this is going to be relevant later on. I actually finished binging the first season of Smallville for the first time since I've actually never been into that show before, and I don't know why. Because looking back on it, it seems like at the time that show came out, it would have been the perfect show for me because at the time I was into comic books and I was super into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this is basically a comic book or it's like if you took the comic books and you made it more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you'd get Smallville. And it's so weird that I never watched it as a kid because it would have been perfect for me.
Well, welcome to the tribe, my friend. Do you feel like it holds up pretty well still, even after all these years?
In a lot of areas, yes. There are definitely some areas where I'm like, okay, this is definitely a show of its time. But one thing I do got to give the show credit for is you don't see this often. I absolutely love how it's like the main character is a high schooler who wants to have this kind of double life of being like a superhero, and he actually includes his parents in on everything, which is something you don't see because usually a lot of teenage superhero type shows, the parents are always clueless until maybe the season finale or something like that. So it was kind of cool seeing them in on it from the start.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I'm glad you're checking it out finally. What about you, Indy? What you been up to this week, man?
This weekend, recording. Back to recording the music. But the big thing I did, man, a brewery, my favorite brewery,
nice.
Indiana, Devil's Trumpet. Had their 7th anniversary. So, I was up there partaking in as little beer as possible because I'm not supposed to be drinking alcohol. So I got a flight of 2 ounces of each beer that they had there. And that equaled out to 2 beers. So it was interesting.
And he said, screw these rules.
Yeah, screw the rules. I just made sure.
Don't.
No. I'm allowed to drink, but I'm only supposed to take 1 drink twice a week. So I got my week out in one day.
Okay. So, moderation. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be cool. Other than that, man, I'm watching a show that we'll probably get into later that you got me watching, and my eyes hurt.
Well, we're gonna be Indy's gonna be doing a review for Godzilla's Singular Point. Since this is the anime guru here, the gentleman that every Saturday hosts Anime Assembled here at APlus Hero Report. He's going to be tackling Godzilla Singular Point. Expect that review on Monday for you guys if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out because it is currently on Netflix. How many episodes is it? 13?
13
episodes.
long episode. 24.
They're like 24 minutes, right? But they feel a little bit long to you.
Every 24 minutes feels like an hour.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so we'll definitely see. But guys, it's really great to certainly see you guys back. It's good to have the whole crew here. We do have a couple of topics, but before we get into our main topics, you guys know how we do around here. Honorable mention time. A couple of things that maybe didn't quite make the cut, or maybe it was such a busy week that we had to really be selective about what we talk about in the main topics and move some stuff over to honorable mentions. So let's go ahead and dive into it now. Indy, I know you have an honorable mention for us today, don't you? What do you got for us?
Laurie Holden, best known from The Walking Dead, the real leader of the survivors, is joining the cast of The Boys. So she's over there with Jensen Ackles and everybody else, going to be playing a character called the Crimson's Countess. Anybody who is really into The Boys and started checking out the lore or anything like that, you do know that the Crimson Countess is a character that was around with World War II. So among other characters like Soldier Boy, this would be a current incarnation of somebody be given a name from a past superhero. So it's gonna be really interesting because the lady can act. We've seen that in Walking Dead, and it's bringing in somebody who's a little bit older to play a superhero is an interesting dynamic that's going to be to this show. And the cast for this season seems like it's better than the cast for any previous seasons that they had. So I'm really looking forward to this now.
Let me go ahead and pull up a picture. I pulled up a picture of Crimson Countess here. She's the Countess you can count on, using the fire of freedom to fight the commie machine. Okay, Crimson. All right. I'm assuming that's going to be her from what I've been able to find for The Boys. So it should be interesting. Her being an older character, I'm thinking to myself, you going to be rocking this costume?
I hope so.
Or is this going to be like an after she's retired sort of thing? I'm kind of curious to see where if she's still doing the superhero gig or not.
Well, that particular costume, I think, was the World War II costume from the original. I wonder if she's going to pay homage to the original and coming at what most of the costume looks like, especially from the 7, what they make those women wear. I wouldn't.
That's true.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's a comic accurate costume. But then if we look at what they did to Soldier Boy, he's not even wearing the color scheme he had in the comics. He's running around looking like he borrowed Stephen Amell's suit from Green Arrow. So
yeah, I was a little bit thrown off by that when I saw pictures of him initially, because of the fact that just when you see him from comic books, he does have that Star-Spangled Banner type of design, but when you do see him just revealed a couple weeks ago, it looks completely different. Yeah, so I'm wondering what route they're going.
You're probably going to get like a one-off line of him saying, "Yeah, Disney threatened to sue me if I wore the Stars and Stripes."
And also for anybody who's a fan of Batwoman, gee, I can't wait. I really hope it's a comic accurate costume. Anybody who's a fan of Batwoman, make sure you follow the Batwoman Instagram today, because the takeover for the Instagram is Miss Javicia Leslie, Batwoman herself. Oh, nice. She's taking it over. She's gonna have a bunch of behind the scenes videos and footage that she's going to be leaking, and she's going to have, she didn't name who, she just said she's going to have a special guest that you do not want to miss.
Oh, interesting. Ruby Rose, y'all.
No, I think it's gonna be Wallace Day, like the two of them showing some behind the scenes footage. That'd be my guess.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty fun. Awesome. I didn't know she was going to be joining The Boys, so that's pretty exciting, man. Always great to see her back, especially one of the favorites from the Walking Dead alum, if you will.
Not my favorite. Like,
she played her role.
I liked her in season 1 and 2, and nothing against the actress herself, but oh my gosh, I hated her so much in season 3 of Walking Dead.
That means she did her job.
She did what she was supposed to do.
Yeah, she did her job. Okay, she drove me crazy too, Stuart. Trust me. Yeah. And then a couple other honorable mentions we got for you guys today. We're gonna go ahead and continue along with our train for Shazam. We got more set photos that wind up dropping earlier this week. The infamous and famous Helen Mirren herself was found on set playing Hespera, and we got some photos from you guys. This comes from justjared.com, always coming through with the set photos. Looking great. I'm loving the costume designs that they've been working with a lot of these characters so far here. As we get to see Helen Mirren, it looks like her and Shazam having a nice little table lunch there. I'm actually like, is this a behind the scenes moment, or is this actually going to be happening in the movie? If it's Billy Batson and Shazam, I'm pretty sure he's probably just taking her out to lunch somewhere at the park for all we know.
Bro,
I really hope it's in the movie.
That's in the movie. It's no way you're watching this and that's not in the movie. That might be in the movie too, with the way that movie, the way the first Shazam was written.
In fact, it might be that they're having a big belly burger.
I'm trying to look at the what's on the cup there. I'm trying to see if there's a logo on there.
Sam's Castle steak or something like that.
Yeah, maybe it's their version of White Castle. Who certainly knows? That'd be interesting. But yeah, we got some Helen Mirren photos in here, looking great. I'm loving the design that they have for her for Hespera. But that's not the only photo that we wind up getting. While this next one isn't a set photo, the actual director released this himself because he realized since leaks are happening all over the place, he decided, let me go ahead and get ahead of the leaks. And we have brand new designs for the Shazam family, which actually pop up at the very end of the Shazam movie, and it looks like they're going to be having their presence felt here in this movie as well. What do you guys think about the designs? Well, I feel like we've already been seeing a bunch of Power Ranger-esque like memes going all over the place in regards to this team that we have here. But what do you guys think?
This team was running with these colors before you guys knew what Sentai was. So like just because something was more popular at the time, that it always happens like that. But I really like this. The only thing I don't like is I feel that a couple of the colors like the blue and the green should have been a little bit more vibrant, because when you look at the green, it looks black. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's something else they could have did with that. The only
I do wonder too if it's just a filter though. I do wonder if he like put a filter on it.
Well, I feel like when they get behind the lights and stuff like that, like on set, and they got the lights shining, that the suits are going to look different anyway. And you could tell that just from the other set photos you showed of Shazam. You know what I'm saying? The colors pop a little bit more when he's out in the open in the daylight. But the only thing I have a problem, and this is what I have a problem with all superheroes, to be totally honest with you. I don't understand how you can go into your superhero form and all you do is take off a pair of your glasses or change your hair and makeup, and nobody recognizes who the hell you are.
Well, with the case of them, it's because they literally don't look like that. That's just them like turning into adults from kids. Yeah,
except for the one character in here who she's playing both versions, her superhero form and her other form, and all she's changing is her hair and makeup.
Well, for those of people who don't know who you're referring to, he's referring to Grace Fulton, who actually is going to be playing Mary Marvel in here, who probably has got the finest costume out of all of them, honestly. But she actually, in the first one, she did have somebody else actually play her as an adult Mary Marvel. But now that I'm assuming, I don't know if there's a time jump or not, but Grace Fulton is now in that perfect stage where she can actually play herself along with her Mary Marvel character also. And I think they talk about the idea that fixing up her hair and adding in some additional makeup goes a long way in hiding her secret identity, if you will. So I'm thinking to myself, like, is Mary just going to be walking around looking like a schlub all movie long until she transforms into Mary Marvel? But I love the fact that Grace Fulton is at least getting this opportunity to portray a superhero for herself as part of her acting career. I think that's pretty awesome.
No, I feel she's going to kill it as an actress. My problem is the taupe of how comic book writers thought that was going to work to start off with. Because like,
I mean, it's been working for years, man.
I know Superman literally takes off his glasses and swoops his hair back. I don't know if he carries around Moose like in his pocket when he does it, because his hair just stays perfect and never moves. So I'm just curious about that. We gotta as the new comic book artists, the writers. Let's change that up a little bit. Let's do a little bit more.
To me, like with Superman, though, the reason no one ever like knows he's Clark Kent, or no one ever like looks into who he actually is because a lot of people just assume he doesn't have a secret identity. The only time it ever like kind of gets to me, like in a writing standpoint, that I think it's kind of weird is when both Superman and Clark Kent are around like people that they know and they don't tend to notice. That's the only time that I'm going to be like, okay, that's weird. Like, for example, like in the most recent recent Superman and Lois set, or not most recent one, but the one before it, you had Lana Lang like looking at Superman in the same area as him, being like, oh my gosh, that's Superman. And then you had Superman talking to her and her not recognizing that it's Clark Kent is, a bit weird. But when you're looking at it through like kind of the media standpoint, like if you're just an average person that looks at superheroes through the newspapers or through television, you're definitely not going to recognize them if you see them walking by you in casual clothing. And I know this because celebrities will do that a lot of times and they don't get recognized a lot of times either.
I also will say this. I think, at least when it comes to the Clark Kent factor, I think he does a great job also of giving off a different aura about himself. You know, he comes across sometimes as that bumbling idiot, you know, the guy that can't do things right, or, you know, little things hurt him type of thing. Like, oh, I stubbed my toe, or, you know, I dropped something and it broke sort of thing. So I think playing up that part of being sort of that, you know, bumbling idiot, getting in the way sort of thing, not knowing, you know, I think that immediately sort of has people just not even look your direction enough to even capture fully the idea that, hey, if this guy takes his glasses off and slicks his hair back, he's Superman. You know what I mean? So I think it's about how he portrays himself too. That goes a long way.
No, I get you. This would be a whole cool conversation for Patreon. Because I feel like we could do a conversation on this.
Yeah, we probably could. A couple other quick honorable mentions real quick. We did get ourselves a brand new Snake Eyes poster and trailer this week. A little bit longer of a trailer with some new footage. What did you guys think about the Snake Eyes stuff?
It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, action-wise, it looks pretty cool. I didn't know that the guy from was it no, it's not the Raid. Is it the Raid? He's in this movie. I didn't know he was in here.
I don't know.
What's his name? I'm trying to find his name real quick.
All I know is that this trailer looked amazing. Like I was like, man, we getting some kung fu, some fighting, some karate, and then the Shang-Chi trailer dropped, and I forgot about Snake Eyes.
I will say that second Shang-Chi trailer looked freaking amazing.
Yeah, I will say this about Snake Eyes. Again, it is coming in the theaters for you guys July 23rd. So definitely go ahead and check it out. But this will be the start of, the subtitle is G.I. Joe Origins, right? So they're really establishing the idea that they're trying to build this franchise up again. So this is probably going to be the very first one that they have coming out of the gate. I believe the actress that's playing Scarlet in this movie is going to go on to have her own Amazon series as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they are, or maybe it's a movie, but they are certainly building up the G.I. Joe franchise. But I've liked everything that I've seen so far. I'm really looking forward to the action is there. The only thing I'm keeping my fingers crossed is please make sure that the story is intact if you really want this franchise to go far. Outside of Snake Eyes, we also got another trailer. This was the week of trailers, guys. We also got ourselves a Suicide Squad trailer, probably the final trailer before it drops August 6th. I mean, that's about a little bit of a month away, so we might get maybe a little bit something else. But with everything that we've seen so far from the Suicide Squad, what did you guys think about this trailer? And just in general, what's your anticipation level right now?
The other movie doesn't exist. That's what it is. There was no other Suicide Squad movie. This trailer is dope, and they're doing a great job of not making it about Harley Quinn like they did the first movie. Like when they were doing the trailer stuff for the first movie, it was all Harley Quinn. It was Harley Quinn and Will Smith, because I don't care what you say, no matter what character Will Smith is playing, he is Will Smith. So like the whole time I'm watching Deadshot, I'm like, man, Will Smith could shoot a gun. Like he was never Deadshot to me. He was just Will Smith with a gun. So this movie, like, it's doing a very good job of actually explaining who the characters are, letting you feel what this team is going through, rather than just throwing people together to go fight a evil that shouldn't have been the evil to start off with. That first movie was so bad.
Yeah, going back and revisiting it does have its moments that are hard to watch, but there are some moments that I still take away from it that I was always a really big fan of. I mean, I know you give Will Smith some slack, but I really did enjoy him as Deadshot in the movie, at least for his character in regards to it, so much that when I now watch Bloodsport in this movie, I feel very much like I'm watching Will Smith 2.0 with Idris Elba. Like they're almost like recycling the Deadshot character. So I am hoping that they elaborate a little bit more on it, because because again, it's just based off of the trailer. I don't know what the storyline is, but if you just hit me immediately with this guy that's reluctant to join Suicide Squad, his guns are his preference. He's also got a daughter that he's trying to, prove his worth to, or whatever the case may be. It all kind of sounds the same for me. But outside of that, I'm really excited to see all the characters that James Gunn's going to be introducing, especially with his personality set. And for me, the main attraction here is Starro the Conqueror. I cannot wait to see what he looks like on screen, seeing them just shoot out the little starfish and stuff. I need more screen time of Starro, so I really want to see how they pull this off. I will say this, Stuart, let me throw this to you too. Do you feel like there's some hesitancy when it comes to excitement for the Suicide Squad movie? Like, some people are still trying to get a feel of what this is, or do you think a lot of people are on board right now?
I think average moviegoers are definitely on board with it. I think there's like very few DC fans that are kind of like, to me, it comes off that they're looking for reasons to hate this movie without actually giving it a chance. Like the whole thing where there was backlash about how like the Idris Elba's character like put Superman in the hospital. That I find like really bizarre, and it comes off to me as, okay, you're just looking for a reason to hate this movie before even giving it a fair chance. Same thing with Rat Trap. People were like complaining that it was a girl and not a guy like in the comic books, even though in the comic books there was a female rat trap. So it's just really bizarre how people are actually, it feels like people are going out of their way to find reasons to hate this movie, and they're not like willing to give it that fair chance that I think they need to give it. You're muted.
Damn, I didn't even realize I muted myself. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how moviegoers certainly take this movie, especially after the previous Suicide Squad film. So we'll see if this rebounds, or if this movie will take the bad taste out of the first one out of people's mouths. So we'll definitely see then. Last two quick honorable mentions here. One, you kind of talked about this already, Indy. You did go ahead and drop a review for this, but the Shang-Chi trailer, we wind up getting our second trailer. If you guys haven't heard or checked out Indy's thoughts on the trailer, it is already up on our channel. But Stuart, you checked out the Shang-Chi trailer. What did you think of it so far?
Oh my God.
Is this right up your alley? Because this was your most anticipated movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the #1 Marvel movie that I'm looking forward to, and this trailer did not disappoint me at all. I kind of thought what they were going to go for, and I still do, even though we got like a couple of characters from the other Marvel movies making appearances, as you can like see in the thumbnail with Abomination. But for the most part, I kind of figured this movie was going to be very like standalone, like taking place in the Marvel universe, but referencing the other movies as little as possible. So like if this is your first Marvel movie, for example, you'll be able to watch it without being confused. And I still think that's what they're going to do with it. But it is kind of cool that they have those things in there, like Abomination, which I think is something fans have really wanted to see ever since, the ending of The Incredible Hulk. So I'm so happy to see that they're bringing him back. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how it's going to connect to the larger universe at the very end.
Yeah, good point on the idea of it being sort of feeling like a standalone. I am interested very much as to how Abomination gets where he's at. I mean, was he facing off against Wong? Is that what people's impressions are, that he was facing off from Doctor Strange inside of there? It looked like he was facing off against another sorcerer, perhaps, in there. Is it rumored to be Wong?
He wasn't bald, so.
Well, I never saw Wong as bald, though. I always saw him like a.
Well,
is he bald? I thought he was like short shaven.
Like short, he seemed like he had more hair than, that's what I'm saying, than more than Wong has. I don't know why I envision Wong is bald, but he seems like he had more hair than Wong, and he seemed a little bit smaller than Wong. You know what I'm saying, than what Wong was. But it's going to be interesting to see why you would have a sorcerer there partaking in what it looked like some type of extreme fighting or combat. So is it somewhat of a tournament, or you know what I'm saying, anything that's going on? So
it feels like maybe very underground, illegal type of stuff, And
my question is, how did they get a hold of Abomination? Because you would assume he would be like under military like surveillance or something like that. So how does he like end up, escaping custody and then fighting for like some underground cage fight?
Yeah. It makes you kind of wonder what type of ties that the Mandarin actually has, if he has any ties, because maybe that takes place on U.S. ground, maybe, or somewhere where U.S. has territory, does it has some type of ties to Thunderbolts, anything like that. They always drop something to make you think like, oh, this has to go with this, just to get like we always say, just to get your mind running in one direction, so you miss your turn, so you miss exactly what they're going to do. For all we know, that scene's not even in the movie.
Well, go ahead, Stuart, and then I'll say my thoughts and we'll wrap this up.
I just thought of an after credit scene we might get, like if Abomination, like let's say they kill him off in this movie, but the body's still there. Have an after credit scene where we see General Ross discover it, and have that kind of lead to Red Hulk later on.
We'll see. I've always been hoping for a Red Hulk. I think the next time we're going to see Abomination will definitely be in the She-Hulk series. I believe they've already announced that he's going to be popping up there too.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see where he ends up at the end of this particular movie. For me, at least in regards to the Shang-Chi trailer, it looks great. I love the fact that they're at least giving Shang-Chi a great sort of character storyline. I am fascinated to see his relationship with his father, the Mandarin. If anything, the special effects and the fight sequences just look incredible. I love the shot of him fighting the ninjas or whoever just on the outside of the building. I thought that was pretty cool also. And if there's anything in here, I will say this. I'm surprised they didn't change the title to Legends of the 10 Bracelets. I didn't know that they were going to be going that route for the actual rings. I mean, granted, listen, they are rings. We're not going classic Mandarin, covering up all his fingers and things like that. I think if you are going to go ahead and change things up, I think this is a really fresh take on how to kind of bring that into a more modern time. And I am wondering if there's I don't know why they look kind of like vibranium to me. I'm wondering if there's like any Wakandan sort of connection in here, and what kind of helped forge, these magical rings, if you want, or bracelets, however you may look at them. But I think it's a really cool way to adapt them from the comic books, as he's got 5 per arm bracelet. I think that's pretty neat.
And it could work that way, because in the comics, the rings, I believe, came from space, and in Black Panther they established that like the vibranium came from an asteroid. So it would actually fit in really well if it turned out they were made from vibranium.
I just want to know if my big thing on is each ring tied to like a different type of magic, or are they imbued with, what I'm saying, the wearers, what I'm saying, wanting stuff like that. From part of that was from the end credit, the end of the trailer when they're fighting. You see the Mandarin, his aura is blue. You see Shang-Chi is red.
She is red.
So I want to see if that has anything to do with that. And it's just going to be, it's probably the least hype movie that you saw when they announced them, because I believe they announced this round. They announced all of them. Everybody was hyped for the black vampire guy Blade. It came to me afterwards, and nobody was really paying attention to Shang-Chi. They was watching all the other movies, and us knowing what it is, we're sitting like, yeah, this is gonna be dope. This is gonna be dope. And now they're living up to the hype because they got to fly under the radar with everything that's going on. They were even under the radar of the shows. Nobody was on Shang-Chi. They was all on Captain, Wanda, Loki. And I feel like this movie is going to deliver on a level that nobody is expecting. And I'm all forward to it. I just want to know if that dang on dragon in the water is Fing Fang Foom.
We'll definitely not. We'll definitely find out. We do have to move on. We have one more honorable mention in here. One that kind of caught me by surprise this week. I was not expecting it. But Candyman. Candyman actually wind up dropping its second trailer here this week. I got to ask you, fellas, have you had the opportunity to check out this trailer at all?
Yes, and it sold me.
It's so fucking good. Like, this trailer is so good. The first trailer alone caught my attention. I mean, this is coming to us from Nia DaCosta, who's going to be doing the director. I think she also might have wrote the screenplay with Jordan Peele. I mean, you've got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, whose star continues to rise in here also. I love just the story that they wind up giving us for the Candyman legend. It looks so good. It looks creepy. It looks eerie. It looks terrifying. It looks gory. It definitely looks like psychologically it's gonna F with us. And I'm here for it, man. I felt like that's exactly what the first Candyman wind up doing, and I think this is gonna pay homage to a very underrated horror film in the first Candyman. So I'm excited to see what they do here. But man, this trailer looks so good. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do yourselves a favor.
Is this Jordan Peele?
I think he's producer. He's a producer on it. I don't think it's a movie that like he actually created though. Let me double check here. Let me see. Candyman is upcoming, directed by Nia DaCosta. It says and written by Jordan Peele, Win Rosenfeld, and Nia DaCosta. It is a direct sequel to the 1992 film.
This is gonna be so.
Oh, that answers the big question that I had, because like looking at the trailer, it almost looked like they kind of changed some aspects of the first film, so I wasn't sure if it was like a remake or a sequel.
Yeah, I thought this was a remake, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be played up as a sequel to the original.
A sequel without Tony Todd? That's messed up, man.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Todd. Yeah, it says the film stars. It has his name, and it says along with Tony Todd reprising their roles from the original film. Yeah, so he's gonna be in here. I don't know if he's actually gonna be shown up or if he's playing a voiceover or what, but yeah, you can't do a Candyman without Tony Todd.
Okay,
the voice,
yeah, as long as he's at least voicing it, yeah.
the voiceover with him hearing his voice in his head as he slowly becomes Candyman or something like that would be insane, dude. Like to have Tony Todd's voice in your head would drive you crazy to start off with.
It definitely would. But yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out Candyman, if you're a big fan of horror movies or like being scared, definitely go ahead and check it out and definitely let us know your guys' thoughts. All right, guys. With that out of the way, we will start going ahead and getting into some of our main topics for the day. So you guys ready to go ahead and start doing this?
Man, I was born ready. Let's get it.
All right. So the first topic, guys, that we'll go ahead and start off with today comes to us from the franchise of Transformers. That's right. We do have ourselves another Transformers movie that is officially underway. Over the past year or so, we've been talking about the idea of Paramount, along with Hasbro, trying to develop future Transformer films. There were 2 scripts that were in development, but one of them that currently is maybe a little bit further along than the other one tends to be our Beast Wars script that we wind up getting from Transformers, as the Beast Wars have officially arrived when it comes to moviegoers. This past week, guys, we finally wind up getting ourselves a Transformer title release, officially titled Rise of the Beasts, guys. So we wind up getting a ton of details in regards to this upcoming new addition to the Transformers franchise. We wind up getting Bumblebee a couple years back, and now here is our next Transformers movie. But what are the details? What can we certainly expect from Rise of the Beasts? Let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. I'm really excited. There's a lot of information in here for us to certainly go ahead and break down. So if anything, we'll kind of take it by parts, if you will, to really dive into some of the information that we have here. So fasten up, guys, because Beast Wars has arrived. This is from Variety.com. It says Transformers Rise of the Beast revealed at virtual event with director Stephen Caple Jr. It says the Transformers movie franchise will take on the Beast Wars storyline from the late 1990s in Transformers Rise of the Beast, they announced on Tuesday. Production is just starting on the feature, but the director and Caple still did reveal a fair amount about Rise of the Beast. Similar to Travis Knight's 2018 Bumblebee, which was set in 1987, this new film will be set in 1994, so as not to intersect with the 5 Transformer movies directed by Michael Bay. Unlike Bumblebee, which they have said deliberately was designed to be smaller, a more intimate movie, Rise of the Beasts will be a spectacle story in the tradition of the Bay films. The action will move to New York City and will incorporate 2 new human characters. You've got Elena, played by Dominique Fishback, an artifact researcher who keeps having credit for her work taken by her boss, and Noah, played by Anthony Ramos, who is just in the movie In the Heights, an ex-military electronics expert who lives with his family in Brooklyn. The production will also shoot in Peru, including a rare opportunity to film at the ancient Incan ruins of Machu Picchu. Make sure you guys don't bring home any curses, okay? Goodness. But yeah, other than that, it says Bumblebee will return to Rise of the Beast, but the film will focus more on Optimus Prime. So those are just some of the early details. There's certainly more to definitely talk about in this article. But from first perspective here, not in 1987, a couple years after Bumblebee, so set in 1994, going to be taking place in New York City. We got 2 new human characters in Elena along with Noah, and it's also going to be taking place, or at least being shot, out in Peru also. So let me go ahead. Let's go a little bit of roundtable here, guys. What are some of your thoughts about what we're hearing so far?
So I am hyped for this. I do think it's going to be a very different look into the Transformers franchise, which I'm really looking forward to. And, you know, even though it sounds like Michael Bay's still going to be on as a producer, I don't think he's going to be directing, which makes me happy, of course. That being said, I don't know how I feel about them bringing in Optimus Prime and Bumblebee this early, if they're just now establishing Beast Wars. For me personally, I kind of wish they would just establish the Beast Wars characters, the Beast Wars Transformers first. Like, I know Optimus Prime eventually did become like a member of them, but he didn't start out as a part of the Beast Wars. So I don't know how I feel about him coming in like from the beginning. But that all being said, I'm just really hyped that they're doing it in general. So, you know, if they have to bring in some, you know, familiar characters in order to engage new audiences, in order to get this movie to work, fine by me too. It's also a little different because if I remember correctly, it has been a while since I watched the cartoon, but it took place like in the age of the dinosaurs. So there weren't any human characters as far as I knew. So that's it's definitely a different take in that aspect too. And it taking place during modern times instead of, you know, prehistoric kind of era. So so it's a bit different, but I don't want to judge like these changes until like kind of I see what kind of direction they're going with it.
Yeah, and there's definitely more in the article for us to dive into to maybe kind of explain it a little bit also. Like when I first initially heard this, for me, the idea of it taking place in 1994, I mean, I didn't mind the time period, but I think what jumped out to me the most was certainly the locale, the idea that it's taking place in New York City, you know, where you've got all these buildings and all these people that certainly live. And I'm thinking to myself, Beast Wars, like Rise of the Beast, how are they going to incorporate this in such like a metropolis, if you will? You know what I mean? With all the suburbs and the main city and things like that. So I am intrigued to see how they're going to kind of fit in. Like, is the rat from Beast Wars, is he going to be like a New York City rat with like an accent now when he talks and stuff? Like, is that what we're going to be getting into? So well, the time placement.
He had that
would work.
I mean, he did. That's what I'm saying. He did. He did have the accent. So I'm trying to, he's probably the easiest that I can make the connection to. But I am trying to figure out like how the other characters are certainly going to fit into this particular world. I know we are doing the other shoot over in Peru, but this is, for me, I will say this is intriguing because of the fact they are going to clearly be taking their own liberties to kind of tell their Beast Wars stories to a certain extent. I just hope that this isn't just a cash grab for brand new toys and things like that, and they completely forget about storyline. Because, you know, I don't mind big spectacles in the light of Michael Bay if you're going to go that route. But the one thing that made at least the very first Michael Bay big spectacle movie of Transformers successful was the fact that it still had heart, right? There still were sort of intimate moments, if you will, between some of the characters that really went a long way and kind of added to the action that we wind up getting. So I just hope that what they established in Bumblebee as far as tone isn't completely thrown out of the window. I do think that they've got some really great talent when it comes to actors playing the two humans in here. So as long as they don't forget the human element as far as like the attachments and stuff, I'm all for just sort of a big spectacle. But Indy, what are your thoughts just based off of what we've heard so far in this article?
I'm not feeling the 94 timeline because I don't understand how you make a realistic goal for, well, maybe because we had Jurassic Park happening now times. Is Megatron still a Tyrannosaurus? Is Starscream, who was one of the best characters on Beast Wars, still a raptor? You know, like are we just gonna have like them fall into the Brooklyn Zoo and just randomly pick animals out of the zoo.
Oh God, is that where we're gonna go, to the zoo?
That's like the only way you could have all these animals together in New York City. My question is how they're gonna get the dinosaurs then, which is what the wait, it wasn't the Decepticons, was it? It was Predacons. That's right. Yeah. So I'm wondering like where the Predacons come from, how it is that they look like dinosaurs, unless maybe they got it from the History Museum.
Yeah, we have one of them. What's that Natural Museum? I can't remember the name of that. Night at the Museum Moments.
Yeah,
get a Ben Stiller cameo. Nah, but it's gonna be interesting. Every Transformer movie is interesting, whether how bad it is or how good it is. It's interesting to see them attempt to do something like this. But one of the reasons why the I call it a quote unquote anime, because it's all CG. The Transformers War for Cybertron series is doing so well is because there aren't any humans involved. They're doing the story of the Cybertronians and how they coming to Earth, and now they're getting ready to get into the whole Beast Wars thing on that. Now that they're, made it to Earth in primitive times. It's an interesting spin, but I've noticed when they try to involve humans for no reason or try to make it about war and weapons of mass destruction is where they get away from actually telling the story of these beings who have souls, you know what I'm saying, and the war that they're going through and how that started. I don't understand why they don't present the friendship that Orion Pax and Megatron had, you know what I'm saying, before the fallout, and see that this is a war between friends who have different opinions on how their entities are supposed, like their race is supposed to survive. It very X-Men-ish, you know what I'm saying, things going on and things that people could relate to, but they always go, no, we need a human so people relate to what's going on in this movie, when you really don't.
Well, let's go. Great points, though, Andy. Great points, though, for sure, man. Let's go back to this article here, though, real quick, and give some more details in regards to it. So we did say that Bumblebee will return to Rise of the Beast, but the film will focus more on Optimus Prime, voiced once again by Peter Cullen, serving as a kind of origin story as he arrives on Earth for the first time and learns to become a leader. It says, this is what they say. They say, I want to discover more about Optimus Prime, get underneath the surface, or get underneath the metal, if you would, and explore who he is and his experience on Earth, is what Capel Jr. stated. He says the filmmaker will also reveal concept art of Prime's appearance for the film, which will more closely align with Prime's boxy look from the original animated series and toy line. So still that G1 look that we remember from the Bumblebee movie. Other classic Transformer characters who will appear in Rise of the Beast include Mirage and RC, one of the only Transformers to be gendered female. It says, otherwise, the film will draw from the Beast Wars animated series, which focused on robots who can transform themselves into animals as opposed to vehicles. As Capel explained in the film, these Transformers are prehistoric animals that travel through time and space, and we find them on Earth. They include Air Razor, who can become a falcon, Rhinox, who can become a rhinoceros, and Optimus Primal, a different character from Optimus Prime, who can transform into a massive gorilla and is the leader of the beast-like Maximals. So it seems as though they're going the route of these Maximals traveling through time and space and finding their way on Earth. So, Stuart, you were just mentioning the idea of Optimus Prime not necessarily being in Beast Wars. Well, it seems as though they're taking a different route here and making literally Optimus Primal a different character from Optimus Prime in regards to that. So you hear some of the returning characters. I'll throw this back to you, Stuart. You hear some of the returning characters. They are bringing in Air Razor, Rhinox, and Optimus Primal. How do you like the, I guess, quote unquote, origin story that they've kind of given to the Maximals here?
It's intriguing. I'll leave it at that. It's definitely intriguing, and I'm excited to see where they go with it, but I'm kind of like cautiously excited, if that makes sense. I think maybe it's just because when it comes to the Transformers movies, I've been let down so many times, with like the exception of Bumblebee. So I think I'm just gonna wait till I at least see a trailer before I have too much judgment. But so far, I kind of get the decisions that they're making because, even though I mentioned before the idea of it taking place in modern times in New York City, or, not modern, but, 1994 instead of prehistoric like era, it's different, but I can kind of see why they made that decision because it is kind of a big gamble. I feel like to whether or not people would be interested in the movie where it's just the robots, no humans at all, and it's all taking place in prehistoric times. I get where they feel the studio may feel that that's a bit of a gamble, and kind of looking at like the description that we're getting for this movie, it almost feels like this movie is kind of meant to set up like a bigger Beast Wars franchise that will be more accurate to the animated series, but they don't want to like take that big leap. They want to like kind of introduce it slowly with this movie, like bring in some of the more familiar Transformers to movie audiences that don't watch the cartoon, and then slowly introduce the Beast Wars elements so that you can have that in a spin-off film or sequel depending on the audience reaction to it.
I will say this, I haven't kept up with the I did watch the first and second War for Cybertron Transformers one. I know that there's a third one coming out that will focus more on the Beast Wars aspect of things. Any chance you think that maybe what happens in that one connects with this movie? Like maybe the idea of them leaving wherever they were from and then getting trapped in time and space or whatever the case may be and plopping into this movie? Any chance of that happening, you guys think?
Not
Or is that more of a reach?
Yeah, I feel like not directly, but I could see like maybe they use the cartoon like and see how people react to that before making like changes to the movies.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, that would make sense because RC is a huge component of, what I'm saying, that series, along with like 4 other female Autobots. So it's an interesting dynamic to me, but for me, it sounds like too much, too late. Like it feels like they're trying to cram because that unless Optimus Primal is there to teach Optimus Prime how to lead, but then it's that continuity that comes into, Optimus Prime in the previous movies has poured his heart about everything. Mm-hmm. So it never popped into his head that Optimus Primal taught him how to be, Optimus Prime. It's a sense to me. It's like a senseless retcon. Not as good as like the retcons they did in Fast 9. Go see that movie, by the way. But I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like they're doing too much now. Like doing that, adding time travel. Did they look at every movie from 2019 on and was like everything involved time travels? Let's do time travel too. That's what people like, time travel. It is no need for that. I feel like it would have been better to start, if you're gonna do something like that, start a movie about Beast Wars, introduce us to the Maximals, the Predacons, and then have your crossover where they crossover with the stuff we know now. I don't like the show us this and do it in reverse.
No, I get you. I mean, for me, I definitely do think that it adds a little bit of confusion to just this Transformers continuity. The idea you mentioned is just kind of retconning some stuff. I mean, we just saw Optimus Prime arrive on Earth, didn't we, in 1987 at the end of Bumblebee when he's traveling, along the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever the case may be. So I don't know if this is a continuation from that movie because the article literally says that it's talk about his arrival on Earth, his first time here, him getting used to it and learning how to become a leader type of thing. So I am wondering if this is literally right after Bumblebee or if this is yet another sort of reboot kind of to the franchise. And like you said, Indy, maybe he learns how to become a leader from Optimus Primal in this movie. I'm not quite sure. But there is one last aspect to this article that we do have to cover for you guys real quick, just to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page in regards to this. Sorry for all the confusing going back and forth stuff, but it does say here that as a teenager, let me just do I have the right one? Yeah, it says as a teenager in the 1990s, Capel said that he was a big fan of Beast Wars TV series, which was one of the first animated shows to use CGI instead of two-dimensional drawings. He explained the decision to pivot the franchise to Beast Wars was to give the audience a lot of new. He said we had somewhat exhausted, I would say, the battle between Decepticons and Autobots. You're going to see villains you've never seen before. You're going to see Autobots you've never seen before, but we're going to see a lot of elements that we've never even done before as well. And then, yeah, they that's pretty much the last part of it. But, you know, I would say this, I don't necessarily know if the Decepticon and Autobot battle is overutilized. I feel like there's probably still more story that you can tell, but I get the idea of wanting to kind of give us something brand new. But I guess at the end of the day, I do wonder if this is once again to push more toy sales than a focus on storyline or not. You know, I'm all for showing us brand new as long as the story itself makes sense to get all this newness, if you will. So I guess I can definitely understand the argument of why not just give us a Beast Wars movie on its own right, instead of having to incorporate Optimus Prime and some of our other Transformers. So it'll be interesting to see like what this what's the word I'm looking for? Amalgamation? Is that
there you go? Yep. Amalgamation.
Yeah, of these two, if it hinders the movie itself or if it winds up making it stronger. I'll be interested to see how that turns out for it, though. What do you guys think about overall, though?
Yeah, I think like it's clear that this is being made by Paramount for no other purpose than to sell toys, but you don't get to use that as an excuse anymore. Marvel has proven that you can have a toy commercial and you can still make a really good movie out of it too. You know, you look at Avengers Endgame, that is just one giant toy commercial to advertise like all these different Marvel characters you can buy at your local Toys R Us or Target. And, you know, but it's still an awesome movie. So you know, even though I know that this is just there to sell more Beast Wars toys, you can still make a fun movie out of it, and you're not allowed to use the toy commercial as an excuse to either defend bad writing or defend not wanting to try and make a good story.
Let me ask you something, Indy. Do you feel like, according to Capel and the directors and stuff, do you feel like the Decepticon and Autobot story has been exhausted, that it is time for them to start introducing new things, or what?
I feel like the issue they have with that is the fact that there's a lot of story that they skipped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. They started so far in that they missed the whole developing story on even why the war started. I think that's why people are so interested in a property like War for Cybertron on Netflix, because it's giving you the relationships and why this is happening anyway. I think they're running out of ways to tell interesting aspects of what happened, because if we look at it, how long did the 80s cartoon actually run? It didn't
4 seasons, I believe, in a movie.
It didn't run as long as we feel, you know what I'm saying, like it did. A lot of stuff back in the day, we feel like it was on forever, and it really wasn't. Syndication did a great thing back then.
I was like, He-Man had 50-something episodes. Like, what? I feel like I watched that shit my whole life
like,
growing up as a kid.
I feel like it was like brand new when I was like 11. Like,
didn't they have new episodes every week? Like,
so it's interesting how they feel about that. If it's something not interesting enough, they feel to get the casual fans butt into theater, it is a different thing. I wish they go ahead and say it, that they can't do something that's attaching themselves to casual fans to keep people to come back out to the movies and keep rewatching this story, because fans of the series, like I said, whether it's good and bad, we turn out to let you know whether it's good or bad. We're going to go see it because it says Transformers. So I don't know if you can't tell a story. I'm guessing like they're doing now, make a new one. But you just have to write better, because we're going from you're going to confusing people with 2 versions of Optimus Prime to Optimus Prime being King Arthur to all, you know what I'm saying, all this other stuff on. They're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks now.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably for me one of my biggest concerns is the idea, like you literally gave us 6-7 Transformers movies, then you hit us with Bumblebee for that more intimate close-up look sort of thing, storytelling, and now we're going back to sort of the big spectacle. I guess it's just a matter of, you know, are any of these movies in, like, what's the canon order here, guys? What's the correct timeline that's happening right now? Like, or is this just, we're just now at this point just throwing out stories, individual stories, and don't really have means to connect anything going forward anymore?
I don't think it's I mean, even before Bumblebee, it was really hard to see the Transformers movies as connected because each movie, it felt like they were just retconning the previous film, especially when it came to Transformers 3 through 5. I swear it's like they changed the background of how long the Transformers have been on Earth. It's like Michael Bay just can't commit to a single idea, and that's why I think like with Bumblebee they just didn't even bother trying to connect it directly to all of them. They had some references, of course, to the Michael Bay movies, but I mean it's just kind of like, why even bother trying to have continuity if the original 5 that started the franchise by Michael Bay, like if those 5 movies don't even care enough to have continuity.
Exactly, and that's what they need to do. It's about storytelling and action. I mean, think about it. Some of the best movies we have in the Marvel MCU is intimate stories that they're telling us, and then the movies that we enjoy like crazy are when they decide, okay, now this leads up to this big spectacle that's going on. Transformers is a franchise that's built for that, especially with all the different characters they have. You can have introspectives on Red Alert, on Ironhide, you know what I'm saying, trying to do what they need to do. You prove that with Bumblebee. You know what I'm saying? You have the story of Hot Rod becoming you know what I'm saying, Rodimus Prime. You have a whole that they don't even do enough lore around the matrix of leadership and what that means to them, you know what I'm saying, as a race, and how important that piece is. That, I mean, it's just crazy all the stuff that they can do to tie this and make it a better franchise. They don't do, and I'm still gonna watch this movie. So everything I'm saying probably doesn't mean anything, because I'll be one of them day one in it. I'll probably go see a matinee. I'm not going, I'm not gonna make a prime night out of it. It's matinee and Red Robin for me. But I'm gonna go see it and see what they do. And for all we know, they might surprise us. They might be paying attention to the climate and everything else that's going around. But there's better ways to treat a franchise like this. And this is why I will say to this day, I don't want a Thundercats movie if that's the way they did Transformers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you for sure. But we'll see what happens, guys. Listen, I will say this, despite some of the worries that I think we might have, I am really intrigued to kind of see how this is going to be pulled off. I think a lot of us have been wanting to see kind of Beast Wars. I don't know if this is necessarily the iteration we were expecting Beast Wars to, but when it comes to filmmaking, they're always going to kind of take their liberties and try and adapt that into a movie that they feel is going to be rather successful or more relevant to our times. Who certainly knows? But I will say, based off of some of the stuff that we've heard so far, sounds interesting, sounds intriguing. Definitely has my attention. I guess we'll see how it turns out, though. But those are some of the details for you guys for Transformers Rise of the Beast. Again, this came from Variety.com, so if you want to go ahead and read the article yourself, feel free to certainly go ahead and do so. So I think, if anything, my interest is piqued. I definitely have my worries and concerns, but my interest is piqued nonetheless.
Agreed. I mean, you got us talking about it on Hero Report, so
yeah, most definitely. But guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Transformers Rise of the Beast? Do you like what you're hearing? Do you like some of the ideas and concepts that they're introducing, or would you have executed it a little bit differently? We would certainly love to go ahead and know your thoughts. And I'm sure as we get closer to the release, we'll continue to get more information, more concept art, more details, start maybe putting some of these pieces together to see how it's really all going to come together as a movie. So we'll definitely see. Shout out to Shadow Nova for certainly coming through. Before we do move on to our next topic, I do want to give some shout outs to some people that are in here. Shadow Nova is in here today. We got Marcelino Vasquez certainly coming through as always. We got Nathan who's in here as well with us today. So thank you very much, Nathan, for certainly popping in as well. All right, guys, with that out of the way, we will go ahead and move on to our next topic as we dive a little bit more into the world of television. As this time around, this is going to be something right up the alley for Indy here, who was a big fan of the Supernatural franchise that ran for about 25 years, it felt like. Even though that particular franchise has officially said farewell, it is not the end of the franchise completely, guys. Even though Supernatural has officially went away, it definitely seems as though Jensen Ackles, along with the CW, want more Supernatural, guys. Unfortunately for Jared Padalecki, nobody told this guy. So we'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and dive into this, guys, because I found this story rather fascinating. This comes to us from Deadline.com, that if you guys were missing your Supernatural fix, don't worry. It's coming back in the form of a prequel, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This comes to us from Deadline.com. Supernatural prequel, The Winchesters, is in the works at the CW from Jensen and Danielle Ackles?
Daniel.
Okay. Yeah, that name. Exclusive Supernatural, one of the most important series in the history of the CW, no lie, is eyeing a comeback with a new iteration with the prequel, The Winchesters. It's going to be centered on Dean and Sam Winchester's parents. The project, now in development at the network, is executive produced by Supernatural star Jensen Ackles, who will also reprise his Dean Winchester character as a narrator of the new show. And Ackles' wife will be and Ackles' wife, Supernatural recurring guest star Danielle. It says The Winchesters, which has a scripted commitment, is written and executive produced by another Supernatural alum, former co-executive producer. It does say before Sam and Dean, there was John and Mary, told from the perspective of narrator Dean Winchester. The Winchesters is the epic, untold love story of how John met Mary and how they put it all on the line to not only save their love, but the entire world. So yeah, it definitely is exciting times. This is what Jensen Ackles said. He said, after Supernatural wrapped its 15th season, we knew it wasn't over. Because, like we say in the show, nothing ever really ends, does it? That's what he told Deadline. He says, when him and his wife formed the Chaos Machine Productions, we knew the first story we wanted to tell was the story of John and Mary Winchester, or rather the Supernatural origin story. I always felt like my character, Dean, would have wanted to know more about his parents' relationship and how it came to be. So I love the thought of having him take us on this journey. So Jensen Ackles is returning as Dean Winchester to at least narrate the story of his father and mother for John and Mary Winchester in the upcoming prequel series, The Winchesters, for the CW. Let me go ahead and throw this over to you, Indy. Are you surprised that Supernatural is coming back in a certain way or another? And what's your level of excitement with this, having Jensen Ackles return in some form?
All right, I'm gonna start this out by not fanboying. I'm gonna start this out by business wise. The CW has a gap being left, as if people haven't noticed. They lost one of their top shows in Arrow, the same year that they lost Supernatural. So you lose two of your big two titans, right? Flash is bad. Ratings are down on the station to start off with. There's been some shows to start up and end, you know what I'm saying, very quickly. Jane the Virgin is gone. A lot of your top shows are gone. A lot of your top performing shows aren't performing as a lot of your old shows should. So anytime a show was doing bad, and I don't know if you noticed this because they did this with Supergirl, right? Anytime a show was doing bad, what did they put it after? Supernatural. Because for some reason, when Supernatural aired first and it led into the next show, the ratings of the next show popped up. So with as bad as some shows are doing on the channel, you get an opportunity to bring a Supernatural-esque show back. The CW should be all over this. Not only because there is so much story to be told from that perspective, especially when coming to find out while watching Supernatural how you thought the Pops was the one who was the hunter, and to come to find out that he married into the Hunter family and the mom was the one who was actually the hunter. There's a whole lore that could be told about that, them coming up and meeting each other and how her family, you know what I'm saying, dealt with everything that they had to do. And who better to be involved in that and do the show than somebody who was connected to it that loved it so much, like Jensen Ackles. And it's amazing to me that Danielle's involved in it since they met on the show. So I'm all for this, and I think anything monetary wise that the CW has to do, no matter what the budget is going to be, anything like that, give it to them, because right now you need it.
Yeah, I mean, great points for sure, man. Because yeah, Supernatural was huge. I mean, the fact that it lasted 15 seasons is remarkable, I feel like, in today's day and age with television. So, and I'm sure, and the ideas, even after 15 years, there are Supernatural fans out there that certainly have always wanted more too, on top of what they wind up getting. So, it makes 100% sense for them to definitely have this show back. And listen, it gives not only Jensen another job after his stint on The Boys, but his wife also, right? The more the merrier, keeping it within the family and things like that, giving them further opportunities for their career, which I think is brilliant. But, you know, even though I fell off of the show when it comes to Supernatural, maybe after like season 4 or 5 or something like that, it started really just kind of going off on its own. I fell off of it, unfortunately. But I always enjoyed everything that I saw in it. I loved the characters, Sam and Dean. I thought they were just great chemistry on screen together. So the fact that Jensen Ackles wants to come back, even if it's just in a narrator sense, even though, you know, his father, John, popped up very briefly, or I should say not very briefly, but he had a pretty big role, especially in like the first 2 seasons. I felt like I've always loved was it Morgan Dean? What's his name? The guy that's I keep
shoot, I can't believe I forgot him, because I really like that actor.
Hit me with his name. Regardless, I love the actor. I don't know if he's going to be coming back for this. Will they de-age him, or are they just going to get completely a brand new character to go ahead and play John? Either way, I think this is a fascinating story. I was always intrigued to kind of see that relationship between John and his wife, especially the upbringing of the kids and things like that too. Always been fascinating to me. So I like this idea, the fact that they're going to be pulling the trigger just more Supernatural-esque on the CW. So I think it's a win for them for sure. But what do you think?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, that's what his name was.
No, I had to look up his name, because as soon as you said that, I was going to say Negan, and I didn't want y'all laughing at me, so I had to look up his name.
Yeah. Or the comedian too.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Stuart? How do you like this news?
You know, it makes total sense to me, because the Supernatural was the CW's, I think, like, biggest show for a long time. The fact that it lasted 15 seasons is insane, and it just kind of shows you how successful it is. The fact that the show has ended after 15 seasons and they still want to keep it going. You know, so I think like this is a interesting direction they could take it. I don't think they're going to be able to bring Jeffrey Dean Morgan back, because he's an expensive actor, and then of course de-aging him, there's no way the CW can afford de-aging technology. But you know, whoever they get to play him, I'm sure they're going to like try to look for someone that looks like they could be a young version of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But yeah, it is. I don't know if I'm going to personally watch it, but I do see a lot of. I do think see this being really awesome for Supernatural fans, and I say that just because I didn't really watch Supernatural past season 2, with the exception of a few episodes here and there, because my girlfriend kept up with it. So there would be like a couple of you know, like really funny or really interesting, like unique episodes that she would show me every now and then, such as the one where there was like a high school play being made about Supernatural. That one was absolutely hilarious. So anyways, I think it's a cool idea to bring the show back. I don't know how I feel about Dean being the narrator. To me, that doesn't really make much sense unless they do something like unless maybe there's a reason, like an in-universe reason for why he's narrating. I don't really see the point in having Dean narrate, except for it feels like it's just an excuse for Jensen to reprise his role. I guess he really loved playing Dean or something. But yeah, I think it's a good idea overall.
I think with everything they went through, the whole, especially when you got to the later seasons when Dean was a vessel for Michael and the whole Lucifer and stuff like that, it fits what they're going into, especially because he seemed like the one out the two later in the seasons that was more tied to like the family legacy that was going on. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who had to save his mom, had to, you know what I'm saying, had to do this. when Sam seemed to be more off-puttish because of his whole dealing with Lucifer and stuff like that. So even if it's where they even had episodes where almost a half a season where Dean was running around by himself and he was documenting a lot of stuff, so it could fit into that whole role of maybe this was his journal and he's going back on the stuff that his mom and his dad, you know what I'm saying, told them about them coming up, you know what I'm saying, or the stuff that he realized when he was Michael's vessel or anything like that he actually got to see. If like you said, they keep it in universe, that would make a lot of sense. But a thing with me, like what Nathan said, he doesn't know how he feels about this. He's going to watch. I'm going to watch the Supernatural. I'm possibly going to review it if Adam lets me. But I would have preferred to get a series around the Man of Letters, because that's another organization that they introduced that had a lot of ties and lore to what goes around in Supernatural. But for something like that, I would like that to be more of an HBO Max series, or in that type of vastness. And this is something that can go, because they tried spinoffs before of Supernatural and they never stuck. They tried spinoffs like the 13th season. They tried to do something totally different about a demon and somebody else, you know what I'm saying, getting along. They tried to spin off with a whole female S show, and they noticed that nothing works unless Dean and Sam are involved. So that might be another reason why he's connecting and narrating, because they feel like if they don't have either the two of them or one of the two, that the show won't survive because they're not attached.
I will say this. I think this news is huge for Supernatural fans, if not just for the indication of how well it's performed on our Facebook page. Like, I think this was like one of the articles that we posted that just like exploded in regards to people's engagement, reactions. I mean, the reach of this story alone was massive for Supernatural fans, unlike anything else I'd seen on our page. So yeah, there's definitely a hunger for it.
Supernatural is one of those things that when you can break out of the Comic-Con mode and begin your own con that people travel to,
yeah, I guess that's true.
You know it's a big deal, because there's very few things that are actually able to pull something like that off.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, man. So I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. I'll probably will dabble in maybe the first couple episodes. We'll see if it attracts me to the whole thing. But I know this is going to be massive for the CW and Supernatural fans as a whole. So exciting times, guys. We definitely want to know your thoughts. Have you had the opportunity to check out Supernatural? What did you think of the past 15 seasons of it? Are you excited for the idea that we're getting sort of a prequel series attached? Go ahead and definitely let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, and with that topic, we will go ahead and transition over to our next one. We'll go ahead and dabble in the world of Star Wars for you guys today, as it's been pretty quiet on the front when it comes to Star Wars movies. We know that when it comes to the television world, Disney Plus is ready to unleash a bunch of Disney Plus series when it comes to Star Wars. But the very touchy subject of Star Wars movies has definitely kept Lucasfilm and Disney pretty quiet for the most part, outside of some of the announcements that we know that Taika Waititi is going to be doing a Star Wars movie. Kevin Feige is going to be doing a Star Wars movie. Also, one of the other notable names in Hollywood that's going to be tackling a Star Wars movie is Patty Jenkins, who was officially announced to go ahead and be the director for the upcoming Star Wars Rogue Squadron film that's set to go ahead and drop in 2023. Despite Taika Waititi having another Star Wars film and Kevin Feige, those two, I believe, right now don't necessarily have release dates, with the exception of Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. So while we know who the director is going to be for that movie, we've been kind of figuring out and kind of speculating as to who might be the writer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they might have found their writer for the upcoming Star Wars film. Let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. This one comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Star Wars Patty Jenkins Rogue One gets a writer. This is an exclusive report from Hollywood Reporter. This will be the first Star Wars movie from Lucasfilm since the 2019 Rise of Skywalker. It says the mysteries of who's writing Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie has been solved. Matthew Robinson, who co-wrote and co-directed with Ricky Gervais's the 2019 comedy The Invention of Lying, is penning the script to Rogue Squadron, which Jenkins is due to direct for Lucasfilm and Disney, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. It says Jenkins' involvement was revealed in December of 2020. It says in the separate video posted on Twitter, Jenkins said that she is using her father's her fighter pilot father as an inspiration for the project and wanted to make the greatest fighter pilot movie ever made. It says little is known about the project, nor is it clear how long Robinson has been attached to it, although sources say he is currently furiously keyboarding away on a draft. The project is hoping to get into pre-production this fall for a shoot sometime in 2022. It does have a December 22nd release date. It does say that Robinson is an interesting choice for writer due to his varied career. Since Invention of Lying, he has fashioned himself to be an in-demand writer in the adventure space, having worked on 2020 Dylan O'Brien's post-apocalyptic creature feature Love and Monsters, along with the Edge of Tomorrow sequel Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, which is in development at Warner Brothers as of right now. And he's also attached to the Little Shop of Horrors remake as well. So it definitely seems as though Matthew Robinson, a lot of stuff in his pipeline that he's certainly going to be working on for the future. Now adding Star Wars Rogue Squadron to that list as well. I'm personally not too familiar with Matthew Robinson. I do recall the movie Invention of Lying. I remember getting the opportunity to check out some of the trailers that we wind up having for, and it definitely made me laugh and chuckle when I certainly watched it, but I never had the opportunity to check out the film itself. I don't know if either of you certainly have, but I feel like there's a trend when it comes to Star Wars now. Kevin Feige hired Michael Waldron, who is a little bit of a comedy writer in his own sense, working for Rick and Morty, if you will. Now we're kind of getting another writer who comes from the realm of comedy, working with Ricky Gervais for Rogue Squadron. It does fascinate me that Star Wars or Lucasfilm is certainly going that route. Let me throw this to you, Stuart. You hear this news. I don't know if you're familiar with Matthew Robinson at all, but what do you take from it, hearing this news?
The only movie from him that I've seen and I was not a big fan of at all was Monster Truck. Or wait, let me double check to make sure it's the movie I'm thinking of. It is. Okay, yeah. So I saw Monster Truck from him, which I think was kind of meant to feel like a 80s like kind of monster and or a monster movie, but it was supposed to be like one of those monster movies where it was like a kid trying to take care of the monster. And yeah, I just wasn't a big fan with it. I saw what he was going for. It just didn't really work. It's also the same dude that I just saw wrote Dora the Explorer, The Lost City of Gold. But yeah, so besides that, I don't really know of any of his movies, so I'm not sure how I feel about him writing Rogue Squadrons. But, I do think that even if he's not like the writer I would have chosen, there was probably like something that Disney saw in him, and that's probably why they chose him to write it. And I do think with Patty Jenkins directing it, at the very least, it's going to be a very well shot film. And I do think she's the kind of person that can work with a script that maybe not be the most tight and still do something very unique with it. I know Wonder Woman 2 probably isn't the best example, but I do look at Wonder Woman 1 and everything it had going for it, and how like if that movie didn't have like the directing that they had with it, it definitely wouldn't have been as great, even if they had the exact same script. So I guess I'll have to wait and see on this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a very wait and see sort of pattern myself when it comes to this movie. I definitely feel like, I will say this: I haven't had the opportunity to see Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Not necessarily a movie that was directed towards me, but I don't feel like it got crapped on that much at the box office. I mean, financially maybe, but I thought I heard it wasn't too bad of a film, but maybe I'm wrong in that regard. Did you guys hear anything about it?
It was. I watched it. There's always kids at my house, so to be totally honest with you,
yeah,
it wasn't that bad. It felt like a Lost Temple, S type of movie. The humor was good. The lady playing Dora, it was totally out of canon for what Dora the Explorer was. But it was one of the movies where they knew you were going to take your kids to see it, and they had to keep you entertained enough to
to be able to sit down, to sit down with the kids to watch it. Yeah, I get it.
It wasn't the worst watch. It had like a Spy Kids-esque feel to it.
Oh, okay. So I won't necessarily shit on him for writing the Dora movie, especially if it was decently received, to say the least. But I do think, like you said, Stuart, the idea that maybe he's got so many projects that are in the works, whether that be sort of post-production or getting into pre-production, like maybe they've seen some of his stuff that he's been working on, like Love and Monsters. Maybe they've been able to see maybe some of his scripts that he's worked for other upcoming movies, and maybe that's the type of stuff that really fascinates them, right? I mean, if you can kind of bring that comedic factor, but also able to dabble into that adventure realm also, and bring some of that excitement that you need and sort of that space adventure, maybe he will in fact kind of put the pieces together to kind of put together a really strong script. But for me, I think what not only will the script have a lot to do with this, but also Patty Jenkins. I do think that based off of her script, based off of the script that Matthew's doing, she's really enthusiastic for this film. And I think she's going to clearly put her best foot forward when it comes to directing. So even if there is sort of a weakness maybe in the script itself, I'm kind of hoping that maybe Patty Jenkins, with what she's been able to do in her career, will help elevate this movie even further, because this definitely feels more like a passion project for Patty Jenkins. So I'm really hoping that once she gets the script, if there are any weaknesses, that she definitely does go ahead and elevate it. So for me, at least, again, while I'm not too familiar with Matthew Robinson, the fact that we at least have ourselves a writer attached to this just gives me more faith that this movie really is kind of moving in the right direction, and they're putting the pieces together in order to go ahead and hopefully make this movie successful. So I believe that they might. I don't know if they've worked together in the past, but I do know that Patty Jenkins has had nothing but great things to certainly say about Matthew Robinson. I know she was really excited for him to get this opportunity to have his own reveal, because I think she was very much aware of who the writer was going to be, even when her announcement was certainly made also. So it would not surprise me if her and Matthew have certainly worked together a little bit on the script, or at least really formulating and putting this together. So I'm excited as a Star Wars fan. I really want to see what these two can kind of put on screen together, and if it'll give us that injection of enthusiasm to go back to the movie theaters when it comes to seeing Star Wars. But I'll throw this over to you also, Indy. You hear this news. Rogue Squadron's got his writer. Are you excited? Are you thrilled? You lukewarm on it? What are your initial thoughts?
As far as Rogue Squadron goes, I'm curious in the story that's going to be told. Regardless, that's the part of Star Wars other than lightsabers and toads jumping around doing flips and stuff that I'm really into, because I was always into the dog fighting, like the space fights that they would have. So I would like some more background on those pilots, the way that they strategize, to partake in those type of wars, and everything would be dope. So as long as the action sequences are cool and we get characters that we can really like get behind or want to die, I'm good. It's not hard to write a movie. Well, it's hard to write a movie. It's hard to write a good story. It's not hard to write good characters. You want a character that people can attach themselves to, that have some type of growth, you know what I'm saying, that have a purpose. And as long as he could do that, I'm good with it. I trust Patty Jenkins when it comes to this movie, with her background and the fact of her reasoning for wanting to do the movie that she came out with. It puts enough trust. I have enough trust in her to get that correct. So I don't think she would hire a writer that wasn't able to get her focus across when it comes to that.
No, I definitely get you there. And I will say, one of the downsides, I feel like, to the sequels that we got were really lack of space battles until like Rise of Skywalker 2. So to be able to finally highlight that, get ourselves a Top Gun-esque type of Star Wars movie, maybe with some really strong characters as our pilots and our groups. I mean, for Star Wars fans, some of the best books that they had back in the day were some of the Rogue Squadron books, where we got the opportunity to see some characters like Jason Solo or Jaina Solo, right, really make names for themselves when it comes to careers, X-Wing pilots and things like that. Still not sure what the full story is going to be, whether or not this is going to take place after the Star Wars sequels as far as canonically or not. But I'm really eager to go ahead and dive into a batch of new characters and really start branching off away from our classic Star Wars trilogy characters, because the universe is so big, and I think right now a fresh take of characters will really do Star Wars justice, or really do it a really great service, you know.
And I think that's also one thing that one advantage to having a comedian write your film, or someone who writes a comedy, is that they're the best. Like what Indy was saying, when it comes to like telling a story, one of the most important aspects to get right is the characters, and make the characters really enjoyable. And I feel like comedic writers are the ones that really know how to make you enjoy a character and make you really care for them, especially in a movie like Rogue Squadron, where because it seems like it's going to be kind of like its own standalone film that isn't going to have any severe consequences for the rest of the Star Wars movies going forward. It means that everyone might have like a red shirt on, so everyone's like chances of surviving are just as, you know, much as everyone else's. And that's what Rogue One had going for it, is you didn't know who was going to live or, you know, die at the very end of that movie. So I hope we get kind of something like this.
Well, I do like your point about the idea of just comedic writers in general. I mean, because look, we got Michael Waldron that kind of comes from that realm a little bit, even though very much more sci-fi-ish. He definitely has that comedy bit to him also. And Taika Waititi, we saw what he did with Thor Ragnarok, but you know, if you look at another one of his films in Jojo Rabbit, he has that ability of being able to bring great balance, not only to comedy, but also really sentimental and emotional aspects of filmmaking that really do go a long way. So yeah, maybe that's the reason why we're seeing more comedy writers kind of enter this realm of Star Wars, because they do have that balance of not only just, you know, fun filmmaking and great, you know, interesting characters, but you know, they can tap into just a huge emotional spectrum for storytelling. So I'm excited. I feel like we are finally going down a new path when it comes to the Star Wars fandom, so, or franchise, I should say. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
All right, guys, but listen, we want to know your thoughts. What's your excitement level for the upcoming Star Wars Rogue One? Are you still kind of hesitant based off of the taste that the sequels maybe left in your mouth? Maybe you were a big fan of it, and this is just an ongoing enthusiasm ride for you guys in regards to getting an opportunity to see Rogue Squadron. So definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts on the idea of it finding its rider, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dabble into real quick. Shout out to a couple of people in here real quick for that did join us for live. Captain RGD certainly coming through. Maybe we'll get to your question here at the end of the show, sir. We got Kyle in here as well. What's up, Kyle? Thanks for certainly coming through, man. And of course, Sorrow Sky. What's up, Sorrow? I feel like we got some new faces in here today, so it's always one to give you guys some shout outs for definitely popping in and supporting the channel. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We're going to start transitioning into our DC and Marvel talk for you guys. We've got three more articles left as we get into DC talk. One that I was not expecting to see, guys, to be perfectly honest with you. We all, at least I feel like majority of us here, certainly recall Smallville when it was at the height, and still continues to have immense popularity among the fandom. We got the opportunity to be teased by the return of Tom Welling along with Lois. Was it Erica Durant, I believe, who played Lois from Smallville, popped back up most recently in Crisis of Infinite Earths, the massive crossover that CW wind up having last year. But if you thought that was going to be the last of Smallville that you got the opportunity to see, you would be mistaken, because more Smallville is seemingly headed our way, ladies and gentlemen, and not necessarily in live action form, but animation. What is going on here, guys? Let's go ahead and dive into this article. This comes to us from IGN.com, letting us know that an animated Smallville sequel is in development with the original cast members returning. So, guys, if you were big fans of Smallville, strap in, because we got us a little bit of a story to tell you here. It says, after the surprise reprisal of CW's Arrowverse crossover event on Crisis on Infinite Earths, Smallville fans can look forward to even even more of Tom Welling's Clark Kent in the future. In a new cameo post, the actor stated that an animated sequel series to Smallville is in the works, with actor Michael Rosenbaum also attached to reprise his role as Lex Luthor. Michael Rosenbaum and I are actually working on an animated series to bring those characters back to life and use as many of the original cast members as possible. Welling said, "Don't tell anybody, though. It's a secret. We're still working on it." Well, unfortunately, Tom, the secret is out, my guy. So as of right now, he has in fact confirmed that him and Michael are working on an animated sequel. And I was not expecting this. Indy, let me throw this over to you first, since Stuart is new to the Smallville realm. Let me go ahead and throw this over to you, Indy. You hear this news. You actually posted this on our messenger first to let us get aware of it. What are your thoughts on hearing this, and what's your level of excitement?
I'm 110% like behind this. One of the beautiful things about doing something animated is that you can have the emotion, the character, and everything. You don't have to worry about the actors aging. So you're gonna get Tom Welling in the role that we wanted him to see in. That's one of the problems we had with Smallville, is that we never saw him as we wanted to see him. You know what I'm saying? Don the cape. Actually transition into Superman. He couldn't even wear the costume in the last episode. They gave him some digital, you know what I'm saying, BS because of rights or whatever. But you get Michael Rosenbaum, right? Who was in my opinion, one of the best live action Lex Luthors that we have had.
The narcissist.
Yeah. And everybody always rate anytime you see anything about a crossover or Lex is going to be in a show. What did the fans say? Michael Rosenbaum. This is something he can come do where he doesn't have to shave his head again. You know what I'm saying? And reenact the character that we fell in love with. Because to be honest with you, him, Lana, and the girl we shall not mention, who definitely won't be coming back,
Allison Mack.
Yes. As he mentions her, are three of the top reasons I even watched Smallville. Tom Welling was just a caveat. You know what I'm saying? That he was on there because, to be honest with you, he was something pretty for the ladies to look at. He didn't really develop until later, where he actually got interesting as a character. It was the supporting cast that kept us watching Smallville that were really dope, especially the dude who played the Daddy Kent. Was amazing when he was on the show. So I would love to see this. Anime is going to be crazy. It's crazy things you do with animation that you can't do with live television. That would be really cool. That will add a little dynamic to the characters and everything. And come on, man. If it has anything to do with colors and drawing on a screen, you know I'm 100% down. I'm an animated fanatic, and I will be there for it. Possibly reviewing this too if it comes out and you let me.
maybe they can have a storyline where Clark Kent, for some reason, there's like a sex trafficking ring in Smallville, and he like helps bust them, and he comes to find out that Chloe's been behind it the whole time. That would be crazy. That would be a crazy story if they wanted to do that. Listen, I am excited. I am excited for this. As a huge Smallville fan, man, I really want to dabble back into these characters. I just recently got to see him, Tom Welling, Michael, and Kristen at maybe Dallas Fan Expo, maybe like 2 years ago, I believe. They actually had, it was like their first time in regards to like a reunion, if you will, of being able to get everybody together, because Kristen had never been to a Comic-Con or anything like that. She'd never been to that convention to sit down for panels and things like that. So it was really cool to kind of see them all together. Their chemistry continues to be great after all these years. You can really tell just how much of a friendship they certainly have built over the years. So for me, I'm excited. This makes all the sense in the world. I think like people have been so hungry to see Tom Welling certainly come back in some shape or another, right? I mean, people clearly loved his brief appearance in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it certainly wasn't enough for people. They definitely wanted to see a little bit more and see if his story definitely continues. So like for me, I wouldn't mind the idea if they were to pick up this show maybe from that point on, maybe to kind of fill in some of the blanks of where we saw Clark Kent at the end of the season up until the point of Crisis. I think that would be pretty neat also. But there's so much story to certainly tell, right? I mean, we've seen the life and the upbringing of Clark Kent Smallville. Now maybe this is an animated way to go ahead and actually showcase that superhero aspect of him in ways that we didn't get that. I mean, we always saw the superhero aspect, but maybe not like now on full-on costume and stuff, and him really embracing sort of that superhero element, but still keeping that Smallville aspect of the show intact when it comes to all the lovable characters. So I think this is great when you have people that like Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, who are so close to the project, who know these characters in and out, and just know that specifically that tone and vibe that Smallville certainly brought. If they can really tap into that, but still maybe push that action even a little bit more now that it is an animated world and you can kind of do things you couldn't do before. This excites me. This almost makes me feel like we're getting ourselves a second Superman animated series, aside from the one that we just announced with the Lois and Clark adventures, or whatever the title was. So I'm eager for this. I think this is a brilliant idea, one that I did not see coming. Instead of having that Smallville story kind of be told in, say, comic books, bringing it to another medium and animation, very smart and brilliant. And I definitely do think that there's a hunger out there for Smallville fans. So I'm going to be eating this up. But what do you think, Stuart? You get to hear this story. I know you just binged season 1, but do you think the idea of dabbling into animated realm for these characters is a good idea, or what?
Yeah, I think what works about bringing this show into an animated form is that you can kind of like tell stories that you wouldn't have been able to tell in live action. And not to mention that when it comes to DC, they're a lot more loose when it comes to certain characters if it's an animated show. So I think this will allow them to use like more DC characters that they maybe weren't allowed to use in Smallville, such as, for example, Batman and, all those other kind of DC characters, even the Green Lanterns maybe, and Wonder Woman, fingers crossed. But all that being said, too, I think what also gives them a good opportunity, it was Crisis on Infinite Earths, because we kind of, we had the comics that continued the adventures of Smallville, like with Clark Kent being Superman. We got to see how that played out. And then we had Crisis on Infinite Earths show us how it all like kind of ended with him retiring eventually. But what's cool about making an animated sequel to Smallville after Crisis is that we don't know what the universe was like now after it's been rebooted. We can kind of go with the assumption that maybe the show is still going to be canon for this, but they don't have to worry about trying to fit into the continuity of the comics and the epilogue in Crisis on Infinite Earths, because now it's like kind of their opportunity to start fresh with brand new stories to take place right after the series. I think, because it is one of those things where I feel like a lot of fans were so sad to find out that, Tom Welling was the reason they never got to really dress him up as Superman, because he refused to put the suit on in the very end of the series. So I think that being able to finally get that voice, even if it's not actually physically seeing him in the Superman outfit, I think people getting to hear his voice with a Superman outfit is going to be awesome for a lot of Smallville fans. I think if I really had any complaint about this is that it is weird that this is going to be going on while there's already going to be a Superman animated series going on for HBO Max. So maybe 2 animated Superman series might be too much for, audiences, because I don't think you're going to have unless they're like really big comic book fans like us, I don't see too many people like wanting to tune into multiple different Superman properties, whether it be the Superman, show, the 2 Superman animated series now, and then, an upcoming Superman movie that we know is in development. So that's like my only worry with this show is it might add to there being too many Supermen currently. But other than that, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, no, I definitely do get your worry. I mean, I feel like there's always a big space for Batman out there to get several different iterations of himself, whether that be movies, television, or animated series sort of thing. So I guess I'm not necessarily too much worried about the idea of there being 2 animated Supermen on screen at the same time. I guess for me, I guess it would just come to what's your storytelling and pacing gonna be like? Are you gonna go full-fledged Superman animated series type of thing, right? Or are you still going to be sticking true to the virtues of Smallville and keeping it smaller to a certain extent, more intimate, instead of the big bombastic sort of battles and things like that we've come to know from previous Superman animated series before. So I do think that if you can keep yourself separated from what one animation is doing, maybe there is room for you. But I get the worry, I get the concern. What about you, Andy? Do you think that there's a concern or something that's people should be paying attention to?
No, I feel like anything that has to do with animation and the biggest concern they had is making sure they had the original voice cast back, because those voices in Smallville are like, you know, it's no way you could do a Smallville animated series and have somebody other than Tom Welling, you know what I'm saying, voice Clark Kent. It would not work. Same thing for Michael Rosenbaum. I think that's the biggest grab for them, is to make sure those two are involved, and then everything else should just fall in place for what they need to do.
If they bring in Barry Allen, do you think you're going to have Michael Rosenbaum voicing both Lex Luthor and Barry Allen at the same time?
That would be very interesting, but also since it's a Smallville type of thing, the funny thing would be is if they if you could get Grant Gustin to come and
just get Grant
Barry Allen for a Smallville,
that would be kind of cool too.
That would be pretty interesting to tie into the people that you have, you know what I'm saying, come in and now when they have a Green Arrow episode, do you pay Stephen Amell, who's making a lot of money doing the things that he's off doing now, or
no, you pay homeboy from Smallville earlier, the guy that's in This Is Us? That's who you pay.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, no, I feel like that would actually upset a lot of Smallville fans, because I know like a lot of people really liked him in Smallville. Because I even remember, even though I didn't watch Arrow when it first came out, I do remember there was a lot of fan backlash that it wasn't the same actor from Smallville.
A lot of women loved Justin Hartley, not saying that they liked him as the Green Arrow in there. He just had a lot of fans. The same way that a lot of men, including myself, kind of like nerd out over Stephen Amell, because that is one good looking man. It happens to be the same thing, but they could do either or. But since, like you said, it is a Smallville thing, they can go and get Justin Hartley, but that's still another big ticket, you know what I'm saying, person right now.
Especially coming from This Is Us too. I mean, the fan base that he has is crazy right now.
That did him well.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. You hear the idea, the animated Smallville sequel series certainly coming our way. Original cast certainly going to be there, at least majority of them. I'm really eager for them to go ahead and dive into this. And look, I was joking earlier, but I do hope that Chloe does in fact return in some way or another with her wall of weird. If anything, I would assume that's probably one of the people that they will recast in regards to doing her voice for. Yeah, but it should be fun.
It's a lot of wonderful voice actors out there.
Plenty.
So what's her name? Summer Glau. Get Summer Glau to do it. Get somebody who do it what people won't mind if that person is voicing the character.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, guys. But other than that, we will go ahead and move on to our next topic. But yeah, guys, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, we will move on to our next DC topic for you guys today. Is we're gonna go back into the bag when it comes to Justice League Dark and dabble in a realm of DC television that's gonna be pretty big when it comes to the HBO Max streaming service, when you start really kind of putting all the pieces together, if you will. Listen, a couple last year, I believe it was in fact announced that J.J. Abrams and his production company Bad Robot were going to be teaming up with Warner Brothers to go ahead and produce not only movies but television series as well. One of the announcements that we wind up getting from that was the fact that J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot were going to be making a Justice League Dark series when it comes to HBO Max. And so now that we had that announcement, we've slowly been seeing all the pieces being added, right? We wind up having a Zatanna movie that was going to be that was recently announced, produced by Bad Robot, that's going to be on HBO Max as a movie. They also recently announced the John Constantine series as well for HBO Max also. So we're starting to see the pieces of the Justice League Dark Squad being put together. Well, guys, today or this week, we wind up getting ourselves another addition to this squad that's going to be getting their own series as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. This actually comes to us from Variety. Variety.com, guys. It says DC Comics Madame Xanadu series in the works at HBO Max with Bad Robot. So Madame Xanadu is going to be having an opportunity to showcase her stuff too. It says the Justice League Dark has conjured its next member. A series dedicated to Madame Xanadu, the DC comic books title about the immortal sorceress who dates back to the time of King Arthur, is in development for HBO Max with Bad Robot Warner Brothers Television. It says filmmaker Angela Robinson from Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman, along with True Blood, is writing the 1-hour drama series, and should it get greenlit, will executive produce alongside J.J. Abrams. It does say that HBO at this time has declined to comment. It says Madame Xanadu, who in the comics is first known as Nimu Inwundu, has deep ties to the legend of King Arthur and the wizard Merlin. She is a powerful wielder of magic who has lived for many centuries, can foresee the future, and keeps a collection of malevolent forces captured in mason jars. It does say that she is also a founding member of the Justice League Dark. And yeah, it does so happens that there's also series in the works at HBO Max, and they go on to highlight the John Constantine series in development, along with the Zatanna feature film in development as well, guys. So the pieces are certainly coming together. And Indy, if I'm not mistaken, for the very short-lived Swamp Thing series, wasn't Madame Xanadu in there? Wasn't she the black actress with the that was blind, that was given like the prophecies and stuff to Blue Devil? I believe that's who Madame Xanadu might have been in the Swamp Thing series. I could be wrong though.
Yes.
But that was her?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So we have seen at least an iteration of this character before in the Swamp Thing series, but clearly maybe having a different perspective and a different vision of that character here in this upcoming series. But when I look at this, guys, this gives me vibes of putting the Avengers together, or not even necessarily the Avengers, but I would even go so far as to say like the Defenders from Netflix. You know, the idea of giving some of these characters their own initial series, letting us as viewers get the opportunity to learn who they are. You establish that with the John Constantine, a Zatanna movie, a Madame Xanadu series, and then kind of build this all up to wind up eventually giving us the Justice League Dark series. So I kind of like this approach. It's the approach that certainly worked well for the Avengers movies, maybe not so much for the Defenders. I think it's really important that a lot of these shows continue to be strong and thrive on their own. And I think the idea that you have the same production company in J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot really having a handle on these characters, you know the pieces are certainly going to go ahead and actually connect for these characters into a Justice League Dark series. So I think they're doing all the right things, if you ask me in here. I think Madame Xanadu clearly is a character, while I'm not too familiar with, a lot of people may not be familiar with her, but I do think that they've tapped the correct writer for this. And when you're teaming up with J.J. Abrams, I'm just expecting really good things from here. So for me right now, after this announcement, I am kind of curious as to what other announcements are we going to get. Will this be the only 3 characters that really officially start us off? Will we get ourselves, say, another Swamp Thing series? Will we get a Dead Man series perhaps, or maybe a Demon series at some point in time to kind of really start putting this team even more together? I feel like we've talked about this a little bit. Anytime we have mentioned the Justice League Dark, can we get the same actor that played Swamp Thing? Like, can you still take that same character lore and bring that over here? Maybe the changing of Madame Xanadu from that series to this series implies maybe they'll go a completely different route, but I'm really intrigued to kind of see how they put this team together. And I think they're really building something special over at HBO Max. But let me throw this to you first, Stuart. You hear this news, Madame Xanadu. Not sure if you checked out the actual Swamp Thing series at all or not, but you see how things are coming together for HBO Max and their future Justice League Dark team. What's your level of excitement for this, and where do you think it's going?
I'm really excited because it feels like the Justice League Dark side of things is the part where they're actually really thinking things ahead of time before they actually start. It feels like this is going to be kind of their actual like MCU structure of the DC universe, and I'm really hyped for that. I'm not sure. Like, I guess it depends on if they choose to recast the actress to have her, or if they want to use the same actress from Swamp Thing to have her reprise the role. Because if her history, because I didn't really know anything about her character, I honestly thought she was just a character made for Swamp Thing before. I didn't know she was a character from the comics. But if they want to like kind of give her more backstory, have her be like that she was actually from like King Arthur times, like I think that would be like absolutely awesome, and it'd be a really cool way to keep the Swamp Thing lore in canon to the Justice League dark side of things. And personally, I really want them to keep that show just because I feel like there were so many cool things established in that show that they never got to fully flesh out. Not only in setting up Swamp Thing himself, but also setting up the Blue Devil, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And I it's just like a good way for them to not have to start completely from scratch, to at least have something to work with while building into this grander universe. But yeah, I'm really excited overall, like for not just this series, but everything when it comes to Justice League Dark. All the announcements that we've been hearing of the different shows that they're working on, from Constantine to Zatanna to an actual Justice League Dark. I don't know if they said it was going to be a movie or a series. I am really intrigued by all of this. I'd also be curious, what it is that brings them together, and whether or not we're going to be getting any Easter eggs for the Spectre, and if that ties into the Arrowverse, which would be pretty funny if it did. I'm not going to get my hopes up for that last part, but it would be kind of a unique thing if they did that. But yeah, overall, I'd say it's really cool, a new aspect of the DC universe that I personally never knew of before. Because, like I said, I didn't actually know about her character. I thought she was like original to Swamp Thing, but yeah, I'm all for a series based on her.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together. I like the decision that they're certainly making here in regards to slowly putting this team together. But I will say, when it comes to Swamp Thing, they definitely teased the Blue Devil. I definitely wanted a little bit more. I definitely felt like when you watch the Swamp Thing series as a whole, though, based off of them, cutting the series short and stuff, a lot of that writing for the Blue Devil, unfortunately, was really kind of taken away and kind of rushed. They didn't really get the chance to elaborate more on him than I certainly wanted to, but it's always a possibility for sure. But let me pass this to you, Indy, the big Zatanna fan. I know you're big, especially when it comes to John Constantine. You love the concept of Justice League Dark. This is right up your alley, man. What do you hear about Madam? What do you think about Madam Xanadu getting her own series and just the whole Justice League Dark situation?
I think it's a good thing to do, because there's a lot that orientates around that particular character. Like, I'm on those same bus the Stewart's on, but I would like them to take a lot of that lore that they already built and use it. They can easily change the looks of Madame Xanadu and explain that out through magical means and stuff like that, but still keep the lore what happened in Swamp Thing. I would even like them to keep the same actor for Constantine, but not have it from the DC television lore, the CW lore, but actually have it from the Constantine show that was running on NBC.
Oh, okay. I was like, do you want Keanu Reeves?
Nah, I take, if that's what you're gonna give me, I'll take Keanu. I'll take Keanu. If they can afford Keanu, I'll take Keanu. But have it go from that particular show, because the same thing like Swamp Thing, I feel like that show was really setting a tone for a world that could be built and then got cut short. That's why I was amazed when they brought him back as the actor Constantine when they brought him over to Legends. It was really unique and cool to me. This is the first step in everything that I need to happen, you know what I'm saying, a role. Stewart shocked me with his Spectre.
Yeah, definitely.
Grab, because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want a Spectre show, but I'm pretty sure if you wanted a Spectre cameo and you wanted it to tie to DC television, I'm pretty sure you can tug on Stephen Amell's ear and have him come do 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Do some cameos or something like that. I'm pretty sure you can have him come into the CW verse and do cameos now. You know what I'm saying? If you could pay him to do it and work out the schedule. But Madame Xanadu is an interesting, very interesting character, and I feel it's the next step to having good things. But I need them to, you know what I'm saying, get the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? One of this stuff, so I could really feel like it's coming, because talking about it is amazing. But we talked about Painkiller, we talked about Green Arrow and the Canaries, and they even got like little pilot trials and nothing. You know what I'm saying? Didn't get picked up. So I want to at least see a pilot before I make a decision on whether I want to see more or not.
Yeah, I guess that's the downside. I'd say everything being in things can easily get lost in development hell, if you will, right? People are clearly working on things. Whether or not it turns out to be good enough to be greenlit is a completely different situation, right? So, you know, this Madame Xanadu certainly could be in production or in development, but maybe never reach production, because once they actually get the idea of what they're creating, maybe it's like, you know what, maybe we want to go a completely different route. I do find it interesting that I feel like all these sorceresses are now coming up and being in development after like WandaVision. Like, I wonder if they're looking at how well it's been received as of lately, and now they're like, you know what, maybe we should start pulling the trigger on some of our female sorceresses that we actually have in our DC comics, because I don't know if they would have tackled this any other time beforehand. Oh, you're muted.
Bad. As long as they don't try to make just WandaVision, but in the DC universe, if they're going to go that route because WandaVision was popular, make sure hopefully they're at least telling their own original stories with it.
No, I don't think anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't think Marvel could redo WandaVision and get away with it. That's a one-time thing. If you try to do that, you're gonna get hung from the rafters when it comes to it. But no, I could definitely see that, and I could see them going, because to be honest with you, we haven't seen the sorceress. You know what I'm saying, in Wanda, and I feel like, especially pulling the Zatanna trigger, is DC trying to beat you to the punch again, similar to what they did with Wonder Woman. Like, we could have had a Black Widow movie, and it was prime for a Black Widow movie, but they weren't sure it was going to work, and DC was like, we're the Wonder Woman. Watch it work. You know what I'm saying? And did it. And now we had the Black Widow movie coming. It could be a similar thing to where we'll show you the full length of our sorceress power. That when you see it to Wanda, it doesn't have the same, you know what I'm saying, punches and effect as it does. And that's what I feel like they're doing. They're trying to beat them to the punch, because as we know, you probably got the Thunderbolts coming. You probably, you know, the MCU's finna get a little darker. And I feel like they're like, no, let's do it before they do it. You know what I'm saying, type thing. And that could work or it could not work. We'll see, because I never thought that you could have a comedic style with Constantine and it would be entertaining. And Legends showed me that was wrong, because he's an amazing character even when he's being funny.
Isn't the Neil Gaiman series Sandman, isn't that a DC property or Vertigo property? Like, it didn't Constantine come from that world?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he being recast in that series?
It's going to be a female.
A female, that's right. Oh, it's his ancestor, right? It's an ancestor of Constantine. That's right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's an ancestor, I believe, to John Constantine. So it's not necessarily the Constantine character, but I believe in that family lineage. Shout out also to Angela Robinson, who's the writer of this movie. Again, she did a couple of movies with Debs, I believe, back in the day, 2003, 2004. She also did True Blood for about 2 years. She was a writer, at least on a few episodes there, and then she also did a couple episodes for How to Get Away with Murder. But I think the one that she's most recognizably known for is Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman, which I believe is like an origin story as to how Wonder Woman, the character, kind of came to be. I saw trailers for it. I never had the opportunity to check it out, but I hear it's pretty good and kind of controversial at times as well. So I am interested to see how her style of writing fits for a movie like or a series like Madame Xanadu.
I personally really liked the movie.
You saw it?
From what I've heard, and I didn't look into it, so I don't know if this is true or not, But I guess what was controversial about it is that there were a few aspects of the writer for Wonder Woman that the movie left out because they only really wanted to talk about the more positive side of him. And so they left out a lot of the more controversial things that were going on back then, which I feel like that's kind of a problem with a lot of movies that try to glorify, like, you know, people, even if they're great people. I do think that it's kind of irresponsible to act like they were perfect, you know?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah,
bro, I totally get that. And that's something that's another thing that we can go on forever on, on a Patreon, you know what I'm saying, rant about, because there's great people, a MLK, you know what I'm saying, for saying that had checkered stuff in their past, but what people don't understand is, and they don't want to show that part because they don't want to, you know what I'm saying, tarnish the person's name, is that those checkered past or things that they did, you know what I'm saying, are part of what make them who they are. So it's like you only giving one half of the story. It might be somebody going through the dark thing that person went through and not seeing that a great person can come from that, and you're missing actually being able to help individuals out and being able to see what they could become, you know what I'm saying, come from where they from. So I'm one of the prominent people, especially in my music and everything I do. You're gonna know everything bad that happened, everything good that happened, because I don't know what's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it, guys. If you are interested a little bit more about maybe the origins of how the character Wonder Woman came to be, definitely a film to check out. Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman. That was back in 2017. Definitely go ahead and check it out whenever you get a chance to see what Angela Robinson might bring to Madame Xanadu.
The reason I kind of disagree with this comment is because
keep it brief.
I'll keep it brief. Just I think like in Legend season 4 and 5, even though I'm not the biggest fan of season 4, I do think what kind of worked with John is that he played his character very much like he was in his series. But the reason it comes off as more comedic is because he's playing this character with a comedic cast. And so I think that's what makes people feel like he's out of character. Now, for season 6, it's a little different. I can see why people don't like him in season 6. But with season 4 and 5, I do think they were, you know, decently true to his character.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. It's a good point of view. All right. I think other than that, I think that's going to wrap it up for our DC stuff. And we've got one more topic for you guys today, which will come to us from the realm of Marvel as we dive into the multiverse of madness, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, we talked about this a little bit last week or maybe the week before about Michael Waldron and his continued rise when it comes to Marvel. Not only is he writing Loki, but he's also writing the Doctor Strange movie. He recently came out last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, and he kind of made some comparisons as to when he thinks of the Doctor Strange character. And one of the comparisons that he made for Doctor Strange was Indiana Jones in regards to just that character as a whole, not necessarily what we can expect from this upcoming movie. Although I think Elizabeth Olsen in this interview kind of maybe took what Michael Waldron was saying incorrectly. I don't necessarily think he's pushing the idea that Doctor Strange 2 is going to be like Indiana Jones so much as it is the character itself. But when it comes to Elizabeth Olsen being a part of Into the Multiverse of Madness, one of the things that she recently has been open about is really how scary this movie is certainly going to be. So let's go ahead and dive into it as Marvel continues to try and tackle its first ever horror genre film within the MCU. So let's go ahead and tackle this real quick. This comes to us from comingsoon.net. Elizabeth Olsen says Doctor Strange 2 is scarier than Indiana Jones. I hope so. I hope so, because there's absolutely nothing scary about the Indiana Jones films whatsoever. But it says fans are anxiously awaiting any and all information regarding Doctor Strange 2. And while they wait, one of the stars of the film says it's going to be a scary ride. She recently spoke with Vanity Fair about the upcoming film, noting that despite writer Michael Waldron comparing Doctor Strange to Indiana Jones, things are a lot darker in the upcoming MCU film. She says, I think it's darker than Indiana Jones. I think it's definitely feels more Sam Raimi than that. So maybe that was the goal, but it definitely became something darker. The horror genre feeling of constant fear and thrill and misleads and playing with camera, playing with how the perspective of the depth of field in order to make the audience feel more anxious. I think it's more like a glossy Indiana Jones movie, but I love Indiana Jones, but I feel like it has darker things going on, is what she winds up mentioning in here. And you know what, guys, when I hear this, immediately the first thing that I think of is this is a Sam Raimi movie. You know, I feel like everything that she's captured in here just feels very Sam Raimi-esque, you know, when she talks about the camera angles and the depth. Like when you go back and you check out Sam Raimi films, he's very most popularly known for that style of directing, if you will. So it's interesting to me when I hear this. You know, we heard Scott Derrickson wind up leaving for creative reasons and things like that. We've most notably known Scott Derrickson. He clearly did the first Doctor Strange, but we've most notably known him from like the Sinister films, if I'm not mistaken. So when he definitely brought his own flair of horror film to the MCU. So I did find it interesting. Anytime Scott Derrickson mentioned the idea that he wanted to push the envelope, he wanted to make it scarier. If they're clearly still going down that scary route for this film, to me it screams we don't necessarily want Scott Derrickson scary so much as we want Sam Raimi scary. And I definitely do think that there are two completely different things. And I think when you look at some of his films like Drag Me to Hell, you know, Ash versus the Evil Dead, or the Evil Dead franchise that he certainly has worked on, even in little aspects of Spider-Man 2, you know, when we see Doc Ock waking up in the hospital, or his tentacles waking up, right? Like that added flair of horror with just some of the shadow effects that you use, the quick close-up shots. A lot of the horror elements certainly go a long way with just how you're filming it, getting the audience, you know, huge levels of anxiety. And I really do think that what Elizabeth Olsen is tapping into here is that's the type of horror that they're going to be bringing for Doctor Strange 2. Maybe not what Scott Derrickson wanted, but make no mistake, this is certainly going to be its own horror film, a horror genre type of film also. And for me, that makes me extremely excited, because it doesn't seem like, while Kevin Feige clearly has a goal and a plan for what he wants this movie to be, when it comes to directing and just tone and vibe, they're really letting Sam Raimi just run wild with this. And this just screams Sam Raimi to me. And this gets me really thrilled for what this movie is certainly not only going to turn out to be, but what it's going to look like visually when we get that opportunity to see it. So I think this is great news, hearing this from Elizabeth Olsen. Continues to push that horror storyline. And I think we're on to something special here. But let me pass this over to you, Indy. I know you're a big fan of Into the Multiverse of Madness from everything that you've been hearing. Clearly big implications as to what this is going to mean for the MCU. But you hear Elizabeth Olsen talking about how scary this movie is going to be. What are you expecting from this, and what do you think about her comments?
Bro, I trust anything she says right now. After watching her on Hot Ones just body that without changing her facial expression, I think she understands as an actress, because this is what we have to do. We have to give this woman credit.
Wait. She was on Hot Ones? She did the challenge?
She did the challenge and
she killed it? Okay, I'll have to check that one out. I have to check that out.
Like you answered all the questions, didn't have no issues or nothing. She even hit one where she was like, oh, I didn't like that. That wasn't good. Held the napkin up, blew her nose all politely, put it back down, and went right on to the next one. Like, no issues. I was like, okay, Beth.
Oh, you're on that term now, Beth? You're not even calling Elizabeth anymore? Y'all like that? Beth?
Nah, she Beth. The funny thing is tonight, before Sunday dinner podcast, I'm shooting my shot. I'm shooting a video to a song I wrote about her, and I'm going to put it online and tag her, and hopefully I can get a share.
Okay.
We're going to see what happens. I'm shooting my shot. But she is the level of an actress where I feel like she should have been in horror movies before, like she has that perfect look, especially when she's pale, the hair is long and straight and stuff like that. Like she can pull this off. So not necessarily on the jump scares or too much to do with the cinematography or how everything's shot. I feel that the level of actors and actresses that we're going to have in here, just from the way they express themselves, they can give you that angst and anxiety, you know what I'm saying, just in the acting. And that's what I'm looking for. Everything else is just going to be added on to it. I think you see a hint of that in the last scene from WandaVision, when she's sitting there, you know what I'm saying, going through the book, the expression on her face while she's, you know what I'm saying, while she's tiny. When you saw that, it made you feel some type of way, especially when you heard the kids' voices. That was meant to be eerie. So think something like that in a darker setting, you know what I'm saying, where you're struggling to see what's going on, and you know what I'm saying, and you see stuff popping up. I think it'll be incredible. And there is people that are going to be sitting in their seats with jump scares, wondering what's good, you know what I'm saying, wondering if Doctor Strange can make it through this, because it's so much stress on Benedict's face, you know what I'm saying, from what he's looking at, his expressions on how hard this is. I think they're going to be able to pull it off, and I think we'll be surprised at how unsettling, I think that's a good word, this movie will be while you're watching it.
Yeah, I definitely hope it's unsettling. There is a part of me that also kind of hopes that, I don't know who's the costume design or who's going to be the makeup artist, but I kind of do hope that Sam Raimi maybe brings in some of his people to maybe add some practical effects, maybe to some, you know, I'm sure there's going to be CGI in this movie, clearly, but I do hope that there's a level of practicality that's involved in maybe some of, you know, if we do get Nightmare, right? Can Nightmare have a really creepy practical effect mask, you know, maybe with some CGI After Effects attached to it? I really have always known Sam Raimi to have those horrific looking characters. I mean, look at the design that they had for Green Goblin, right? That never made it to never made it to the big screen because of the fact that it was so horrifying. I hope that they kind of bring that element to this movie also. But let me throw this over to you, Stuart. You hear the words from Elizabeth Olsen about how scary this is. Does this boost your level of excitement for it, and what are you expecting?
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to hear, because I've been worried for a while that there might have been a chance that Scott Derrickson was let go because he wanted a more horror aspect and Kevin Feige wasn't interested in that. You know, and him bringing on Sam Raimi kind of eased that worry I had, because I'm like, okay, Sam Raimi's you know, horror director, so they probably brought him in because they still want to keep that horror aspect. But I wasn't sure, though. There was the part of me just kind of like thinking, maybe Kevin Feige's just doing this on purpose, so we think it's going to be a horror film, so we'll still go to see it. But in actuality, he's looking for a more Spider-Man-esque type of film. But like now actually hearing like what Elizabeth Olsen has to say about it, how it's going to be a lot more scarier than, you know, your typical adventure movie, it does make me think that like Kevin Feige overall did want to keep the horror aspect to it. But I think just I think the reason Scott Derrickson ended up not being the one to direct this movie, I still stand by my theory, which is I think it just had to do with them not wanting to bring in Robert Cargill, but instead wanting to use the writer from Rick and Morty to write the script. Okay. So that would be my main guess as to why he ended up leaving. Because I think Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill are like an amazing duo, because they did a great job with the first Doctor Strange movie, and then Sinister is like one of the best like modern horror movies I've seen in a while. It was it was so great. So
that and Conjuring, and Conjuring are like my two modern ones.
So I think it's just they're a duo, and you know, when they're like a package basically, and so I think that's the main reason he left. And I don't think it was because Marvel wasn't interested in doing horror. So them bringing in Sam Raimi, Elizabeth Olsen confirming that it's going to be scary, gives me a lot of hope for this movie. I'm really hoping we get kind of like a more, you know, a good mixture of the two, because obviously it's got to be fun because it's a Marvel movie. So I'm hoping we get something, you know, kind of like in line with Darkman, you know, something like that.
I do. That's a great comparison, man. I haven't seen Darkman in forever, but that's a great callback for sure. Real quick shout out to Tech Videos for certainly popping back up in here. We'll probably get to your comment here in just a little bit also. But yeah, man, I think this is great news. I think this is for people that have been really excited for Doctor Strange 2. I think this just continues to add to your level of excitement. The movie certainly is still quite a bit of ways, but I'm loving everything that we're certainly hearing out of it so far. But yeah, the impact of this movie certainly will be felt all the way around the MCU. But guys, I want to know your thoughts. Do you guys have any last minute comments about this before we move on?
No, good. Other than I love your comment about wanting to use practical effects. I believe a practical effect costume, like face and stuff like that for Nightmare would be perfect, and then like CGI. You know what I'm saying? Like his costume ornament stuff after that. But now that you said that, I want practical makeup for the look of Nightmare, like for the face. I think that would come off on camera amazingly.
Yeah. What was the term you used? Unsettling? What did you say? Is that what you said?
Unsettling.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it unsettling than scary, because scary to me is over with so quick. Unsettling is like that feeling you get in your stomach because something's not right and you don't know if it's going to be right. You know?
Yeah. I definitely do think Sam Raimi could tap into that too. So I'm really looking for that creepy vibe as well.
One visual thing that they could do that will like definitely make it unsettling for some people, not everyone, but for some, is if they wanted to make some of the monsters like maybe not actually stop motion but look like they're stop motion creatures that are meant to look scary but are animated through stop motion, end up with, especially with younger viewers, having like a weird impact because there's just something in your brain when something doesn't move correctly. You just like have this natural fear about it when you're really young. So I feel like if they want to like scare the kids, that's how you do it. You make monsters look like they're moving in like kind of a stop motion type of set.
That would be pretty creepy. I hope they pull the trigger on that.
Go. All they gotta do, go back and watch that really bad Silent Hill movie. Like it was a bad written movie, but it had that unsettling feeling when, you know what I'm saying, you're watching and you didn't know what was going to happen. And a lot of the ways they did creatures in that were really good. Or the old, not the new ones that came out, but the old what's the movies that Pinhead was in?
Hellraiser.
Yeah, like the original Hellraiser movies, because they were great at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Definitely let us know your levels of excitement for Doctor Strange 2 Into the Multiverse of Madness. And as more details wind up coming, we'll definitely go ahead and keep you guys posted each and every week, guys. But with that, that rounds up all of our stories this week, guys. All of our honorable mentions, all of our main topics. So thank you very much, guys, for all of your input. But now it is, in fact, time to go ahead and transition over to our live viewer questions for the day. And how can you submit a live viewer question? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. Any particular time throughout the week, if you'd like to, submit them over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com. If you happen to read an article or a piece of news that fascinates you, maybe you watch an episode of a show or movie that you certainly love, go ahead and submit your questions and comments over to us. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com, and we get to them towards the end of our show each and every week, just to make sure that we don't happen to miss your guys' comments. All right, let me go ahead and start pulling these up here. So we'll start off with Marcelino Vasquez. Marcelino certainly coming through. He says, I already asked Adam this question, so he doesn't have to answer. So the Indian Stewart, how would you respond to people who say that you let pop culture get in the way? Oh, hold on. How do you respond to people who say that you let pop culture get in the way of your personal life and you should focus more on your career and education? And others stereotyping you as the middle-aged fat nerd who plays video games in their parents' basement who can't separate fact from fiction. These are not my words. This is just the hypothetical. So you're so if you're offended, please don't attack me. I'm just a messenger. In other words, is what is he saying? So how would you
dare you judge me?
So, how do you know me? You don't know my life. He says, so how would you respond to people who say that you let pop culture get in the way of your personal life and you should focus more on career and education? Do you ever feel that way?
No, I mean, like, pop culture is kind of where I'm going with my career in a way, because, I'm super into filmmaking, as you can see with my like camera here. And, a lot of my inspirations comes from different nerd type of media. So if anything, it's really helping me move my career forward is what I would tell people. But honestly, I haven't had that kind of a person like insult me though since high school.
Yeah, but
because I feel like yeah, once you kind of grow up and you kind of like learn more about the world, you kind of realize, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being interested in nerd pop culture. There is one aspect of his comment that I do actually think can be an issue for some people, not all, is that yeah, there are people that get too addicted to escapism in pop culture, and those are the kind of people that will basically kind of do nothing with their lives, and therefore, and if you're able to pull it off doing nothing with your life but still be able to like kind of make a living or just live your own life, that's fine. Just it becomes a problem when you have to mooch off of other people, or you have to rely on others way too much, like over reliance, in other words, on other people, because you yourself are too invested in escapism or too addicted to it. Because I do think like media addiction, not just with pop culture like comics and movies, but like also video games, is a serious issue for some people. And yeah, I do think that that's something you got to be careful for. But other than that, I think that for the most part, it's really easy to enjoy pop culture, to be a nerd, but still live your life and have a career and have your own kind of life to live.
Who asked this question?
Marcelino.
Marcelino. Let me help you out, big homie. For one, exactly what Stuart said about the escapism thing, but escapism and addiction could be with anything. It could be with drugs, alcohol. It's about not letting anything control your personal life. The beautiful thing about pop culture, nerd culture, and all of this is that it's at the forefront of the world now, and it's something where we were growing up was looked at as being taboo. You know what I'm saying? And playing video games is a taboo thing. You're wasting your life. Well, that's 14 and 15-year-old kids right now making $100,000 a year playing video games. My whole brand is nerd and pop culture, and it's something that I wish I would have been okay with at an earlier time in my life, because I probably would have been one of those people who are making 200,000-300,000 a year off of something that I love. They always say love what you do, whether you're working or not. Most people struggle to earn a degree in something that they really don't care about in order to learn a living. I'm lucky enough to be able to take care of me and mine by doing what, doing what I love, with the music, with the nerd and geek pop culture thing, with the selling my t-shirts and everything like that, with being here doing these podcasts and stuff for y'all. It's a different thing when you're able to create streams of revenue from what you love. And if anything that you learned through this pandemic, it's what kept almost everybody afloat, is taking what they loved and turning it into different revenue streams, and learning how to cater their love and turn it into a business. And that's what we do here. Yeah, we take in a lot of pop culture, but we're turning it into something that's profitable, so that we don't have to go out and do something that we don't like. Because I'm pretty sure if Adam could earn his living sitting here talking to you guys,
I would in a heartbeat. You kidding me?
Yeah, he would not be going to work. I'm lucky enough that I'm able to work part-time in order for insurance, and then everything else I do comes in from what I love to do. So it's all about what you're doing with it. If you're able to take it in and put something into it, or you just like, because you're trying to escape the world, or you don't want to deal with something in the real world, it's all good. A lot of times people hate and throw slander at you because they're not allowed to enjoy what they love to enjoy.
And there's definitely a jealousy factor too behind it. You know, maybe those people don't necessarily have the same level of courage that you do in regards to putting yourself out there for the world and giving your views and stuff. And you make a good point. Both of you guys really do. But the idea that pop culture is kind of, while not overtaking our lives, we have found a way to use that pop culture to turn it into a career for ourselves, you know, and make the most out of something that we certainly love. I mean, it definitely is all about having that balance to your own personal life too. But I think nowadays the idea of like when people used to have that stereotypical stuff, that's what I felt like in high school, you know, in elementary school, kind of growing up. But I feel like as we've gotten older, the views have definitely changed, I think, because a lot more people are turning to pop culture for their career, you know, and being able to do all this type of stuff. So, yeah, I think you guys said it eloquently though.
Definitely. And Marcelino, just to set you off with this, yo, Nerd and Geek pop culture inspire everything. If that person who's coming at you, if you look down their hand and they have an iPhone, just laugh and walk away.
That's true. That's quite true. But thank you for the question, Marcelino. Thank you very much. And no, we're definitely not offended or attacking you whatsoever. We appreciate you being the messenger, man, and having your questions. When it comes to YouTubers who make negative content on their channel by calling out as Hollywood going woke and promoting SJW propaganda, are you open to joining those live streams? Not to get in a debate with them, but just about movies and TV shows you love, why you love them, and hope that both sides will have a better respect for each other, or is it not worth it given that type of the type of people that they are? I personally would be open to it. What about you, Indy? Would you ever be open to that?
I do it every Sunday night on Sunday dinner. I think that's literally the whole show is me defending everything that I believe in and them attacking me. But no, it's funny because a lot of those people that are doing that, it necessarily don't believe what they are saying, but that's honestly what gets them clicks. So they'll keep doing it in order to be able to make that revenue stream come in. And
I think if we were more negative, I think if we shit over everything, we'd have like 20,000 subscribers already.
Oh, if you would let me go in on Candace Patton as Iris, our channel will blow up.
Listen, maybe make your own separate video, but just put a disclaimer. These are not the ideas and of thoughts of everybody at APlus Opinions. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you can make those videos if you want to, man.
Definitely. But nah, it's all the game. It's all for clickbait, especially with those YouTubers. I don't give it too much because, to be totally honest with you, they talk about the social justice warrior thing. The stuff that happens in Black Lightning and Batwoman and different things like that is honestly stuff that's needed. People deserve to be represented on television in all forms of media. There should be representation of you. And so I never got too behind that. The thing that gets me, if it's a Green Acre remake and then the cast is all black, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Then you're trying to force something into it. There's a difference between forcing something so that you can cater to a certain demographic rather than something being natural because you want to show, you know what I'm saying, diversity and stuff like that on TV. So there is two different mediums when it comes to it.
Yo, shout out to Indy for bringing in a Green Acres reference from 1965 up in here in this. So I appreciate that, man.
Like for me, I feel like there are some kind of like more negative YouTubers out there that I could probably have an actual discussion with, but then you get like other YouTubers like the Quartering and Yellow Flash, and where they're just like toxic, and I like what Indy said. Like, I don't think they actually believe what they're saying. I think they just do it because they know it gets clicks. And I know, like, for one thing, with Batwoman, you'll have like a lot of people saying this is the worst show ever written. And the reason I know that they're doing this just for clicks and nothing else is because you look at their channel and they don't talk about anything else Arrowverse related. No, just Batwoman, because they know talking crap about it is going to get them clicks. And all the I'm not saying this is for sure what's happening, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I say this just because there are definitely other shows out there that are a lot worse, that have higher ratings. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people that were like purposely giving the show low ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes just to like, make it look like the ratings are lower than they actually are. Or not ratings, but scores. Sorry,
but scores and stuff. Yeah, no, I definitely get you.
No, I do. Like you hit the nail on the head with that. It even happens with the let's say the Sony PlayStation guys, where every video is them talking about something Xbox and they never even talk about PlayStation. Like you go down the whole channel with them just bashing Microsoft. It's the same thing with Apple users who hate Android. If anything can make their channel grow, they just do it. Because I've been out to different kinds of events where you got a dude who he's Apple, and he's bashing something else, and then you go out to a thing and you see him in person, and he's got a friggin' Android phone. That's what he's taking all his video and everything on for a thing. You're like, dude, it's because it's all for clicks. Everybody does it. We don't represent ourselves this way because we're just giving our opinions on what's going on. And if you rock with us, you do. If you don't, you don't. We're going to be honest, and we don't see the reason to hate bash or do that for clicks.
And not to say we don't go on rants, because trust me, we definitely have gone on our fair share of rants whenever we don't like something or whatever the case may be. So we just try and do our best to be fair and as unbiased as possible. Sometimes we're successful at it. Sometimes we're not. I think sometimes we do fall into that category from time to time. But I feel like we've always trying to just be as unfiltered and honest as we possibly can about something. So maybe that's why we're slow growing. Maybe we just need to just shit on everybody to get where we need to go. But who knows? We'll see.
I'm coming for you, Rock. Your movie suck. No.
Let's see here. In his last question, he says, "What would fans be open-minded if a book or a manga got an adaptation that deviates away from the original source material after getting an adaptation that is faithful to the original source material? For example, we already have a faithful adaptation to Cowboy Bebop, but what if we have a second anime adaptation that is nothing like the original manga?" I think that'll be interesting because we have a live action Cowboy Bebop that's about to hit too. He hasn't gathered himself.
My thing with adaptations and changes is that if you're going to make a certain change, you got to have a reason to justify it. There's a lot of like changes, for example, in a lot of comic book movies that I love, and then a lot of changes that I absolutely hate. It really all just kind of comes down to did the change that they make actually serve the story in a better way, or did it just kind of like ruin a whole aspect of it? I don't know. I feel like if I go into like examples, I'm gonna drag this on forever. So I'll just like leave it at that.
You don't have to. I got perfect examples for you. Dragon Ball Evolution. That's really all I gotta say. There was any changes in that movie that served any purpose to being a good adaptation from the source material that we had. If it doesn't make any sense, don't do it. Cowboy Bebop is one of them shows where you be better off spinning it off or doing a continuation rather than trying to change, adapting it to what you want it to be. There are plenty of anime out there, mangas included, where you could do a total so we don't talk about Dragon Ball Evolution. That where you could do adaptations. There's mangas out there where they do adaptations themselves within, the manga that's going on. So it's pick and choose. I think it depends on the story that you pick that you want to do that for. It's certain ones that you stay away from, and it's certain ones that you can go ahead and get it. But I'm going to tell you this: when you do decide to make changes or adapt a certain property, you should make sure that you have consent from the owner or the author, to do it and have them sign it off on it. Because I could tell you right now, nobody had any
input into that movie
on Dragon Ball Evolution.
Akira Toriyama actually told them, like he told them because he was an executive producer on the film, like these type of changes are going to be things that fans aren't going to like, and there were a lot of factors on why they ignored him, but like the main one being if they allowed too much of it with the writer strike going on, they couldn't have too much input from him, or else they'd have to credit him as a writer, which was already difficult because of the writer strike. And so anyways, yeah, I do agree with Indy. You should always, if you want to have a faithful adaptation, I do think it's always important to make sure that the creator loves it just as much as you. Although I think also the exception to that would probably be Watchmen, because Alan Moore refuses to watch the television series, and I think he should at least give it a chance before he judges it, because I think he would like it if he did.
Or George R.R. Martin. Don't listen to anything he says, because he'll throw you under the train tracks after something isn't good in a heartbeat. I should have finished the last book. Yeah, you should have finished it 15 years ago.
Yeah, don't get me on that, man. I ranted on your Facebook about that, JJ. George Martin talking about, what did he say? He was like that I wasn't expecting them to catch up to me. And next thing I knew, they surpassed me, and I wish they had waited for me to finish till I finished the book. Like, what are you talking about? You still haven't finished the book yet. What are you talking about?
Every time I hear an article about him, it's always that he's starting a new book.
I'm like, bro, he at this point, George Martin has no say in what happened to Game of Thrones. No say anymore.
No. You need somebody like Robert Kirkman who goes, you know what? I'm just going to end this. It's done. The show caught up. Book's over. We're done.
Unbelievable stuff, man. Don't be throwing somebody else under the bus because you didn't finish your job. This comes from Jessica Friedman. Let's see. What do you think Jordan Kent will become Superboy next season? I'm actually hoping we get two versions of a Superboy. I'm kind of hoping we get Superboy we got in the comics right now, Jonathan Kent, and I'm hoping that this Jordan or whoever winds up turning into like the Connor Kent, if you will. You know what I'm saying? That punk Superboy is what I'd like to see both of them turn out to be.
Yeah, anyway, I think we're gonna have like at least Jordan Kent become Superboy at the very end of the season. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed that Jonathan gets his powers as well, and that it's not just a one-sided thing. But yeah, that's something that they've done a good job of keeping that part a secret as to whether or not Jonathan is going to get powers.
That boy is too pretty to not have powers. The eyes, the hair, like you're missing out on like massive Comic-Con reactions to him being at panels. You know what I'm saying? You get him power. I'm talking about where the whole crowd is nothing but teenage girls.
I've never seen somebody with such rosy cheeks in my life.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's makeup. I think he just naturally has rosy cheeks. Like they, if you want, like I love the other kid because his acting in that role and how he plays it is amazing. Yeah,
I really love him. I really love him. He's great.
But it's just something about I'm probably thinking with like a marketing brain. It's something about the other kid with like, you know, you got JC, you know what I'm saying, who's talented and in sync. He can sing, but this Justin kid. You know what I'm saying? Like he's something different. The ladies love him. You know, like it's something that they can do with that I feel could honestly strengthen the cause for the show being on for a long time. Just off the fan base. I mean, think about how we were just talking about Supernatural. Supernatural wasn't just loved because of how good the show was. There's fans of them boys. Like they can do no wrong. And they merged that sex appeal into something huge. The two guys who played the brothers from the Vampire Diary series. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Did the same exact thing. Yeah, the one brother was cool, but that other dude that the ladies love, that spanned them into having all types of alcohol and different things, endeavors they was doing because ladies love that man no matter what he does. They need to jump on that. If you guys need some type of management or direction, I'm here. I could tell you how to market young beautiful men to women very easily.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Don't take him exactly for his word. He's just hyperbole. Yeah. A couple of other questions from Adrian. Adrian Perez got a couple questions. He says, "Hey guys, as I write this, I'm at the airport headed to Vegas. Enjoy yourself, Adrian. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Do you see the character Sue Dearborn making it out by the end of season 7? And do you think she'll become a pointless character since Ralph was written out?"
And honestly, no. I don't think she's going to become a pointless character. They actually gave her reason to be around to start off with, mending. I think they did good at rewriting the character, mending the relationship with her parents after she watched what Allegra did with her sister. And I think she is going to be the de facto leader because as somebody brought up, Grant Gustin is getting ready to have a baby. So I don't know how much you're going to see him next season. And I also feel like they're kind of practicing that now to seeing if we can deal without having to Flash in every episode. And although the last 2 episodes weren't that good, the highlight of those episodes were Sue and the way that she, I'm not going to say led the team. She was kind of controlling, but the impact she had on Team Flash coming back and how much knowledge and just that the actress in herself, the way her presence on screen is something that we lacked. And I honestly always felt like she didn't need Ralph to stay relevant. That's what I liked about her version of Sue Dearborn.
Okay. I will throw this other question to you, Stuart. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the 7th season of The Flash? Do you think Barry will actually fight the real Godspeed or talk down to him like every other villain as of recent? I watched some of the reviews and feedback and a lot of complaints.
Yeah, I really hope he doesn't talk this villain down. To me, we've had way too many of that going on this season, and don't get me wrong, I am not against a villain redemption. I do think it can be done really well, but the Flash has just been rushing it for like all the characters, and it's just it never works. It just really doesn't work the way they try to make it work on the Flash. So I think for Godspeed, he's a character where we could maybe take advantage of him like straight up being evil, maybe even not have him just be a 2-dimensional villain. You can still give him like redeemable elements, but don't have him suddenly be redeemed because of one speech and then have it be like suddenly all the destruction that he's caused is instantly forgiven and he, goes away with 0 consequences. Whether or not, you can become a changed person, you still should face consequences for your actions, depending on how destructive they were to other people. So I really hope they don't just talk him down with a speech. I really hope that if there is a redeemable aspect to him, that they actually do something to redeem him and they don't just say, hey, stop being evil, and he stops being evil.
And then last question from Adrian, something that we could probably all answer a little bit of. It's been more than a year since the gigantic Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. What do you guys wish was better or had happened? And do you think Barry should have been the one to die instead of Oliver? That way the Flash series wouldn't be the dumpster fire it is now. Oh, go ahead.
Arrow was done. There was no other reason to have Stephen Amell continue that role. The series had met that. There's nothing else you could have did with that series. We ran through everything. It was only so many Batman villains we could bring to Arrow. I think something was done better.
Yeah, do you think they could have done something better, or
they could have put more? They could have put more money into it to start off with to add a presentation, and I think they could have stretched it out more than the 5 episodes they had. With that being Stephen Amell's like supposed last hurrah, I really felt like that could have been a 2-week event. Like instead of just having the 4 or 5 episodes, that they could have stretched that to 10 and actually told the story, because it did feel a little rushed.
Yeah. I personally wish rather than it necessarily being a 2-week event, I kind of wish this was like just a separate TV movie from the Arrowverse. And I say that because a lot of my biggest issues with Crisis on Infinite Earths as a whole is that it's filmed the same way the other shows are, but you have so many people that they have to work with. So therefore a lot of scenes end up being really rushed. You look at an interview with Stephen Amell where he, talks about how he wasn't able to give the performance he wanted to when he was, when his character was dying, because, all the shots of him that were, just of his face, those were all shots of him looking up at, tennis balls. He wasn't actually looking at the characters that he was supposed to be looking at, because they had to rush all the other guest stars off set in order to not have to worry about paying them too much. So the fact that they have to deal with situations like that during Crisis, I think it really it made the first part especially feel extremely rushed. So it was really hard for me to feel sad for Steven's death when it just really happened too fast. Not to mention, it meant that it would mean that they could possibly have had a bigger budget if it was a TV movie, because I really do feel like budgetary wise, it felt a little bit more cheaper than I would have liked, especially because this is supposed to be an event that not only connects with the Arrowverse, but also the entire DC universe as a whole. It would have also been cool if some of the cameos we got played a bigger role. And then lastly, it would have been really awesome if other shows took as much advantage of the rewritten universe that Superman and Lois is currently taking advantage of. With The Flash, they kind of hinted that they were going to go in that route, because they showed like that a lot of villains had a lot more different redesigns. And I kind of wish they used that. Like, we could see a lot more of these villains play out with these redesigns. I wish like they kind of used that as like a new reboot for like a lot of these other shows, but it kind of felt like, with the exception of the fact that a lot of the shows are now in the same universe, it kind of feels like nothing has really changed for a lot of them. It feels like the only one that really embraced the new change was Superman and Lois.
Yeah, I will say it is startling that even though this was the opportunity for a lot of these shows to have a new status quo and start over fresh, and if there's any changes, I mean, even the writers for Crisis on Infinite Earths came out and said this is the showrunners' opportunities, that if there are any significant changes that they wanted to make to the show, this is the time to kind of pull that trigger and change things around. But when you go back to the series, it doesn't feel like anything's changed at all, like they're just picking up right where they sort of left off. So the payoff certainly probably wasn't there that it certainly needed to be, right? Like in the comic books, what's the purpose of Crisis on Infinite Earths? It's to remove the concept of multiverses, or at least tighten everything back up to one prime Earth. Yet we come back into regular shows after Crisis, and what do we have? Multiverse still around, right? People still on separate Earths and things like that. Again, definitely feeling very much like the sense like nothing changed. So that was definitely frustrating, to say the least. I would agree with both of you guys. It did feel a little bit rushed. I mean, look, Crisis is monumental. It's hard to kind of do a storyline like that in 5 episodes. I almost feel like a lot of what we got from maybe the first couple of episodes could have been told during the regular season a little bit, and really setting up to the bigger chunk of the actual payoff to the series, as you were talking about, Stuart. The idea of maybe having a big 2-hour TV movie, right, that you wind up tackling, but have the other series kind of utilize some of those moments in the crossover that we got in the 5 parts, but extend that out through more of the series. And I just don't feel like it was maybe just executed the way that they want to. Now, for me, I know one of the biggest complaints for some people that they had out there was the idea that maybe some of these cameos they were looking forward to weren't there very long, right? Or were too brief, and people wanted more of them. Well, to me, when I look at that, to me, that feels very Crisis on Infinite Earths to me. There are plenty of panels in the comic books that literally had characters returning that you hadn't seen in years, that were there for like 2 or 3 pages and then either destroyed or, vanished, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like they played up to what Crisis was certainly supposed to be, in that sense of just these brief cameos. So for me, I didn't have that much of a problem. But I think if anything, it just felt really rushed. And I think the lack of impact afterwards really hurt the idea of even having this to begin with. But not to take away from the great Flash moment that we had between Ezra and Grant. That definitely goes down as very much historic. But yeah, I can see the issues that people have with it. But it definitely had some improvements. And then
if you're the Legends, it meant nothing at all to you.
Yeah, that's what was also kind of weird, is how like they weren't even in it really, except for Sarah and Adam.
Well, but it meant something for Sarah, but she feels like it feels like she's checked out too. Like there won't be a Sarah next season.
Oh,
God,
man, I hope not.
I hope
not.
She's so great. She's like the only reason I'm still like watching Legends at this point, because she's the only one that still feels like in character. It feels like now with Legends season 6, and this is why I've kind of stopped reviewing it. The characters just act how they're supposed to for that episode, but they never feel like the same character from the previous episode. It feels like whatever story they need to tell, they'll have the characters act that specific way in order for it to go through. And, you know, it's, how do you talk about a show like that, honestly?
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Doomsday does have a couple questions. Doomsday says, which trailer for which trailer for Shang-Chi do you feel was the most badass one? Probably for me, the second one. Yeah, I think
the second one definitely.
You? Second. The first one was more of a teaser trailer anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you feel the teaser trailer for Shang-Chi felt more like an official trailer and the official trailer felt more like a teaser trailer? No, I feel like they felt pretty appropriate to me. I felt like the first one was very much teaser. We didn't really get too much detail about Shang-Chi as a character or his main story, at least just a couple of glimpses into the world to kind of tease us a little bit, whereas the official trailer not only upped the action, but I think we got a lot more dialogue and a better ideas to what we might be getting ourselves into. So I felt like it was pretty appropriate for how they titled them.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I'd say like maybe the first trailer had me thinking the movie was going to be slightly more grounded, and then the second trailer was like, oh nope, this is definitely a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's better than Iron Fist. It's all that matters.
What do you think Free Guy will be rated? Free Guy. Is that the Ryan Reynolds movie?
Yeah, the video game one. Given the type of film it is, I would assume PG-13, because this feels like a movie that you really want to get as many people to see as possible. I don't think they want to isolate teenagers or anything like that, because teenagers seem to be the demographic that they're going for.
It is PG-13.
Oh, it is PG-13. Okay. Yeah, I just seen it just now. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, Taika Waititi's in it too. I didn't know that.
That's a Disney movie?
Oh, I think it was a Fox movie, but that makes it a Disney now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a 20th Century Studios production. So yeah.
So it's Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool before he got his mutant abilities.
Clearly, yes.
And then our last set of questions come from AJ. Let's try and keep some of these short so we wrap up here. AJ says, what do you think of Superman and Lois this week? And of course, Batwoman. Are you guys ready for a season 2 finale tonight?
Batwoman, haven't watched Superman and Lois yet. I'm waiting. I'm just going to wait to the end of the season and binge it.
Well, how far have you gotten in Superman and Lois?
I think episode 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
I've gotten to the big reveal, and then I stopped watching it. So like I know, okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying, see what's going on. But other than that, I haven't continued. I haven't continued on because I get mad and I want to watch the next, so I'll just binge it so I can finish it up. Batwoman last episode was actually really, really good. They wrapped up a lot of stuff. They did what they were supposed to do, wrapping stuff up going into the finale. So I'm just hoping that the finale doesn't leave everybody on a happy note. Oh my God, the heroes won. I think with the way this show is going, it'll be better left on a cliffhanger. No friggin', oh my God, Kate's back. Like that struggle and everything needs to last longer. If they clear this all up in this final episode, I might stop watching this show next season because they just missed a point of telling a real story. So let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to it being really good, and I'm looking forward to it being possibly the best finale we have seen from a CW Arrowverse show so far.
And what about you, Stuart?
Yeah, I'd say I'm really excited for this season finale, which is really funny because about 2 weeks ago, if you had asked me, I'd say I don't care because the first half of Batwoman, I just couldn't get into. Like the Sophia arc was so bad, and I think that's like my only complaint about the second half of the season is the fact that she's still around. And although they seemingly killed her off, and I hope it stays that way this time because I just really don't like her as a villain. But yeah, I think that the second half has been so much better, way better paced, Ryan's actually getting screen time now, which was something that she was not getting in the first half of the season. So and personally, I'm kind of with Indy here. I really like Wallace Day kind of playing this villain version of Kate Kane. Slight spoilers, I apologize. So I kind of don't want her to go back to normal at the end of the season. I kind of want a little bit more evil Wallace Day in season 3.
Let's see here. And then he also says, this is for Indy. What's it like torturing yourself by still reviewing The Flash, even though you know season 7 is absolute poo-poo?
I review it weekly in hopes that Iris dies. So the pleasure of hopefully seeing Iris dies keeps me reviewing it. But honestly, some of the characters that they are establishing, like why do I always see? I can't remember her friggin' name. Allegria. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Allegra, yeah.
And Chuck Chester are honestly growing on me, but now they just seem like they're trying to make Chester a carbon copy of Cisco, like Cisco 2.0. So I don't know, man. The ladies look pretty.
If anything, maybe we'll have you at least maybe do, when it comes to season 8, the first 5 episodes for that crossover, and then maybe based off of how well those go, we'll see if you still want to stick around for The Flash or not. So we'll see. And then spoilers for Superman and Lois, folks out there. So spoilers, if you want to close your ears. With Superman now, oh shit! See, he even spoiled this shit for me. I didn't even see last week's episode. With Superman now turned evil by Morgan Edge, how do you think Diggle is involved in episode 12, as seen in the preview trailer? And for John Henry Irons, is he really going to suit up as the Man of Steel from what we know earlier, or back to his armored suit from episode earlier? I kind of hope he gets a brand new armor, but I don't even know how he's going to have time to build it. But we'll see what happens. But what do you guys think? Or I should pass this to Stuart.
Okay, so as for him building his armor, I'm sure it's going to happen, and I think what's going to happen is we're going to see that that's what he's been doing since he hasn't been in the last couple of episodes, is he's been making his own suit of armor, and I'm hoping we get to see that thing play out in the season finale. I'm hoping we get more screen time with him. As for John Diggle, how he's going to fit into the whole thing, something I thought of and this was like kind of in the middle of my review, so I don't know. I think it's kind of obvious that I thought of it on the spot when reviewing Superman and Lois, but a theory that I thought of was, what if John Henry Irons knew Diggle on his Earth, but like instead of his last name being Diggle, it was Stewart, so he knew him as John Stewart. I think that would be a really cool way to tie into that Green Lantern story that they're kind of building up currently with all the Arrowverse shows, with him making his cameos in all of the other Arrow shows.
I gotta say, man, just the way that the series alone has given us a bunch of twists and turns. That's definitely plausible, man. I would absolutely love that. I've really been enjoying what they've been doing with this series so far. But yeah, I haven't caught up to last week's episode, but I definitely will now, to certainly say the least. But I feel like Superman and Lois is the only DC television show outside of the ones that I've been watching I've actually tried to keep up with, just because of the fact that it's been so damn good. But thank you guys, for everybody, for all their questions that they went ahead and submitted over today. So thank you very much for everybody's participation and your thoughts and views. But guys, as we wrap up today's episode, where can people find you if they want to go ahead and reach out to you on social media? Go ahead, Stuart.
You guys can find me at TurboStew01, and of course, you guys can find me here on APlus Hero Report doing reviews for Superman and Lois, and then of course the upcoming Stargirl season 2. Although that said, I will not be doing any Superman and Lois reviews for a while because the show is on another hiatus, which is annoying. But yeah, so I'll be back. So it's on a 3-week break, I think. So, but I'll be back to do those reviews once the show comes back in about 3 weeks or something like that.
Is that
that is?
It would have been on highest fun because I don't think that's playoffs, because they're doing the Western Conference Finals now. I don't even know why it would be no Olympics.
I think it's just because they're behind filming again, because the show I assume it's because
Supergirl's not supposed to come back till August.
Yeah, I assume it's because the show is filmed mostly outdoors, and therefore you have like specific time frames you have to film at, and if anything goes wrong when it comes to like weather or something like that, then you've kind of ruined your entire day, and now you have to wait till the next day before you can shoot that scene. I'm assuming that is probably why Superman and Lois is constantly behind schedule. So because it's behind schedule, I'm assuming that's why it's on another hiatus.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that or read that anywhere, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Andy, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you?
First off, you always find me here, right at APlus Hero Report, news and reviews almost daily. No, you guys can also check me out at Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere, especially on the YouTube, where 4 o'clock I have an interview with an artist, Cliff O, and then of course 8 o'clock at the Villain Radio Network Sunday dinner.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much, both of you guys, for joining us here today. We always appreciate it. We certainly will be back next Sunday for you guys. So definitely watch us every Sunday live at noon Central Time, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll certainly be back next week. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right here at APlus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter, along with our main page, which is our Facebook page. And you can also find us on Instagram as well as Twitch. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here today. So until next time, do us a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/aplusopinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.